forward to that. There we go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
And the last meeting went really late, and I promised to all of those who were on it, it's not going to be anything like that tonight.
Good.
Okay.
Can you turn sideways? Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Okay. Is that better? Okay. Okay, so any public comments from anyone that has joined the call? Okay, seeing none. Any comments from the board? 5 minutes limit for each person who would like to speak from the board.
I didn't give
Sorry,
comments.
I'm sorry, Dan. Can we go back and do roll call?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Duh. My bad. Okay, so let's have a roll call. Julie Montant.
Well, I
Here.
think Faith does that,
Right,
doesn't
Okay, Faith will run the
Yeah.
roll call.
I have Chair Ganella,
Here.
Board Member Celia Garton,
here?
Board Member Montanti,
Here.
Board Member Anderson,
Board member who was that?
Anderson,
Oh, David Anderson,
Oh.
he's not here.
not here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Board Member Bolton,
Here.
Board Member Roberts,
Here.
and Main Street Joy Meredith is currently absent as well. We have a quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum. My apologies, I will start again. Public comments, any public comments from anyone?
Hi, can I speak?
Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah, sure.
Well, here, let me just introduce you real quick. So I believe at our last board meeting, I advised you all that our current Parks and Rec director, Cynthia Alvarado, took another position. So she was leaving us as an interim. Jeannie Kays from the library has taken over as our director, as our interim director. So she'll be with us for a few months. I just wanted to make sure she had an opportunity to, say a couple words and meet our board of directors. I know there's a lot of people on here, but you could see who our board of directors are for VillageFest. And if there's anything that you need that Faith and I can't take care of, Jeannie is more than happy to assist. So Jeannie, if you just want to say a couple words, we'd be delighted.
Yeah, I just wanted to join your meeting and introduce myself and say hello. And thank you for what you do to serve the city and VillageFest, a great program. I've lived in the Valley since 2002. So I've lived here I feel like a long time. And I worked for the city for 9 years. And then before that, I worked in Palm Desert for 8 years. And I'm happy to be here, helping out temporarily with the Parks and Recreation Department. And so being at the library, we're similar. We're service-oriented departments of the city. And so if you need anything, let me know. And you're in great hands with Jasmine and Faith. And so thank you for what you do. I just wanted to stop in and say hello.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so if we want to continue on,
Okay.
Chair Ganella.
David Anderson, welcome. Faith will update we already took roll call, so we'll just.
Sorry about that. Had another
No
meeting.
worries, no worries, it'd be silly. All right, so any comments from any of the board members? Okay, seeing none. Report on posting of the agenda. Can we accept the agenda that has been posted for this meeting today?
Yes,
So someone take a motion, make a
I
motion?
move that we accept the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Approval of the minutes from the last meeting. It's going to be a little difficult, this vote, because some of you were not on the board during that time or in the meeting. But I think we do have a quorum for that. Faith, is that right?
Correct. So for the meeting for August 24th, we do have enough board members to take that vote.
Okay. So I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So let's move on to our legislative actions.
Hold
The
on,
first,
hold on, sorry. So there's 2 minutes on there. So there was the June 22nd that didn't get approved because during our August meeting, we didn't have enough members who were present at the June 22nd meeting. We were missing Julie, and Julie was at that June 22nd meeting.
okay,
So if we could get 2 people who were present at the June 22nd meeting, we need to approve those separately.
okay.
I move that we accept the June 22nd minutes.
I'll second.
Perfect.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Any opposed? Okay,
Perfect. Thank you.
okay. So legislative actions. The first item on the agenda is for us to vote for a vice chair. I was the vice chair. Daryl Flick left the board. He was the chair, so I assumed that position. So at this point, nominations for vice chair. Would anyone like to nominate themselves or someone else?
I would like to nominate myself for vice chair.
Okay, so noted. Anyone else? Julie, you were raising your hand. Was that it?
Me?
Yeah,
No,
I thought I saw you do this. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, then, seeing that there's no other nominations, I make a motion that we appoint Celia Garten as the vice chair of the sport.
I
Second.
second the motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Celia.
Thank
are
you
now the
all.
vice chair.
I'm humbled.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so our first vendor is Micah's Soul Food. Micah is already on the street, has already been approved, is just adding a couple of items to her menu. So we decided to not have her have to come and sit through the call and interview, but rather just put a motion on the floor to accept her additions to the menu. I will make that motion. I accept the additions to the menu. Anyone like to second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by John Bolton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. The second one is a similar situation, Angel Bread. Also, Carolyn's been on the street already. She is a current vendor. All she's adding is fudge. One of the things I love about this is, she's been on for quite a while. And a while ago, she added cookies in 2015 because she thought there was a demand for it. People were asking her. So I kind of like that she's expanding her product line. I think that's great. It's a little bit more progression, if you will, with our current vendors. So it's the same thing, putting a motion on the floor to accept Angel Bread to add fudge to their menu.
I'll make a motion that we accept Angel Bread fudge to their menu.
I
Okay,
second.
okay. Motion by Julie Montant, seconded by Celia Garten.
quick
All in favor?
question. Was she still offering? Did I remember, was she offering coffee as well? Was that new?
You're shaking your head, yes, meaning
Yes.
yes, it was
She
new, or yes,
did-
she's offering coffee?
She does offer coffee. I believe she had been approved for that in maybe the second time she came back through. It wasn't in her original application, but the secondary one.
To be in the records that, or the notes that she offered coffee this time.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
I wasn't sure if it needed to be on record that she's offering coffee this time, if that was a new element.
No, she had previously been approved for that.
Okay, my bad, sorry.
No. Thank you for the clarification.
good
It's good for
question.
everyone to know.
Thank you. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor. Anyone going to second that motion?
Second.
Okay, seconded. So motion by Julie Montant, seconded by Celia Garten. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next vendor, Christina's Jewelry and Accessories, Carmen Vaughn Oliphant. Hello, Carmen. I see that you're on.
Hi, present.
Hi,
Can you
Carmen.
tell us a little bit about
Hi.
your, you want to make a quick pitch here?
Sure. Do you guys want to see any of the jewelry that I make? I use pearls,
Yeah,
crystal.
so the board has already seen your application,
That-
but please do show them your,
Okay.
your
What?
product up close. And
Okay,
board members, if you want to use the speaker view, you can get a
Okay.
better view of her product.
can you see
Thank you,
that?
Jasmine.
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
we
this
can.
is Baroque pearls with a combination of fresh water and Swarovski. I always get his name wrong.
Swarovski.
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 Swarovski. There you go. Crystals. Okay, so that's just one item. And then I do these. Let me show you what I do here. All of my earrings that I make are by everything I make is my own design. So I do right now I'm working on a whole new line of earrings. Okay.
I'm not sure
And
if you
there-
can see this, but as you move it, it just gets blurred. So if you hold
Does
still,
it?
we'll
Okay,
do
is that
Yeah, Sorry
better?
about that, Carmen.
Yeah, just
Okay.
hold it still.
I'll
That's
hold
better.
still. There's natural stones in there, crystals.
So Carmen, you just string them? Do you string them? And
Well, some of the stuff I string, but like these round earrings here, I have to actually make that. I have to make that loop.
no, do you make
Yeah.
the stone?
No, I don't make the stones. I do buy the stones. But I make
Right.
the earrings.
So one of the issues that I have, Carmen, is that
Yes,
it has to be 75% handmade. And
yes,
I understand these are beautiful. They're
Okay.
beautiful creations, but it seems like you're putting together materials from some other source, mostly stringing.
Okay.
And
Well, uh-huh.
go ahead.
But I have a variety, like I do wraps. I do pendants.
Can you hold
wrap-
that still?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So I do these too.
Okay, that's more artistic, but the beads that we saw in your file,
Yes, I have those.
those are really just strung.
Okay,
There's not a lot of, it's creative that you have to put that together yourself, but
uh-huh.
I don't think it's what we're looking for. I think the wire wrap things are interesting, and those are definitely more creative, but I think the beads that you string are probably not, doesn't fall within the guidelines of what we accept.
Well, I have a variety of jewelry. I don't have to bring that out there. If you guys want more wire wrap, I can bring wire wrap. I do a variety of jewelry. I'm not just one way.
So
I do-
Carmen, my suggestion would be that you come back with pictures and a list of the items that are wrapped. Because as Cece said now, that is creative in your hand, but that's not enough for a booth. So you need to bring us enough to fill a booth.
Yeah, I have plenty. I'm just showing you piece by piece, but I have enough. By the time I come there, I'll have enough to fill a booth. Believe
But
you
Carmen,
me.
so we have to approve certain items in your booth.
Mhm.
And so, I don't know whether you have enough just wire wrap to say
yeah.
You do?
Oh yeah, I do rings too. You guys haven't seen it all.
Okay, let's see the rings.
I do rings. I do wire wrap rings. Hold on.
Just try to hold him steady.
Yeah, hold
Okay.
it steady, please.
See that?
No, don't move it, so we can
Okay.
just hold it still.
Okay.
You're making us seasick.
Sorry.
Okay, so what is the base of that? Is that
This
that
is
a round?
gold wire. Gold
it a-
wire.
Okay, so the ring part of it, is that?
Wire.
something- That's wire, okay.
That's all wire. It's all
Okay.
hand done by me.
Okay,
And are you soldering this stuff yourself? Another question I would have is, are you sourcing anything yourself, like mining any of the stones, or if you're using seashells, are you getting those seashells yourself and cleaning them and drilling the holes and everything, or are you sourcing them from a bead manufacturer that will give you everything that already is set up with holes and you just boom, boom, string through? That's really the question, because the 75% means that 75% of the item actually has to be your creation. So the beads are not your creation, and putting them just through a single string is not. But if you did this very elaborate necklace out of all different materials, and some of it you're hammering metal and things like that, that's what we're talking about, because it is an artisan craft fair. So the whole point is to have the artisans in the booth. People are buying directly from the artisan that has invented this. You get it? So that's the idea. So based on those questions, how would you respond to that?
Well, I'm looking at like these, like I was showing you here. This is me crafting this. That I've crafted that shape
So
on my
Carmen,
own with
Carmen,
raw wire.
right, I've made earrings like that before.
Uh-huh.
And I understand how, you're considering this as a craft that you've done, but it is materials, it's wire from someplace else, beads from someplace else, findings from someplace else that you are putting together to create that piece of jewelry. I think the only thing that you've shown us tonight that would fall within those parameters are the wire wrap things, maybe the rings and the necklaces
Yes.
that have a stone and is wire wrap.
Yeah.
But those are the only things I think that fall within the parameters of what we're talking about.
And possibly
now-
the pearls, because there were 3 different types of pearls that you put together in
Yes.
the pattern.
And I can do that. I can just bring that. And the other products, if they're not approved, I don't have to bring them. I
Okay.
can bring what you're looking for.
Can you show us the pearls?
Yes. Uh-huh. There's about maybe 3, 4 different types of pearls on here. Okay. So you've got Baroque and freshwater, 2 types of freshwater, and you got the crystals.
Okay.
But if that's what you're looking for, that's what I'll bring. I'll bring what it is you're looking for to meet that criteria. I'm flexible like that. It's not like I'm a semi-retired English teacher. So, it's not like I'm fixed on one thing.
So do you think you have enough stock to do just the wire wrap items?
Oh, yeah, of course I do.
Okay.
Yeah, and I got a lot of my stones and stuff I get from the gym show. The gym show is coming up this weekend. So that'll give me a chance to restock, because you're looking for volume. So I can produce that.
Carmen, what I think, and I don't know if the board is looking for this, but I think you should set a table like you would set it at the booth and show us, take a picture of the quantity of material that you have to set a booth now. Because I don't know if you have enough to set a booth with the creative artwork that you have in the stones. You're going to need more than 20 pieces. You're going to need quite a few. So I'd like to see, and I don't know how the board feels about that, but I set up a booth that you're going to do with your product, take a picture, and then send that to us, and then come back.
Okay, and now let me get this straight. So the articles that you're approving of are the wire wraps, the pearls, because I've got a whole host of pearl earrings that I made.
Not the earrings, not the earrings.
Oh, not the earrings, just the pearl necklaces, wire wrap stone, and the wire wrap rings.
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Is that what the board,
I can do that.
What do other board members feel about that?
I'd like to ask Julie a question. Julie, was your intent that that Carmen actually do that, put it together, send pictures to Faith, and then we leave it to staff to and conditionally approve it now? Or are you suggesting that she put that together and then come back to a subsequent meeting?
I think that she should come back to us. I think that she should take a picture of it, send it in, and come back to us again.
Okay, and you're saying, Julie, you want a larger amount. You're looking at what, 100 pieces? 200?
Oh, no, we don't tell you how many, but I
Okay.
don't think you have enough pieces right now to fill a booth.
Yeah, and a little bit of variety, in other words. So
Of course,
some
I can
wire
do
wrap,
that.
some hammered metals, like
I
different
can
things.
do that. I can do that. That's not a problem. I
I
didn't
think
know what
if
you
you-
guys, see, I had a lot of people have brought my stuff and seen my stuff, and they recommended that I come to this market.
Oh,
So,
and we would love to have you, so
Yeah.
don't take us wrong. It's just that-
Absolutely.
yeah, I was
You're-
just unsure what you would like me to bring because I do such a variety. But now that I know that, I'll go back to the drawing table and prepare myself.
And you
That
know, your
sounds-
items are absolutely beautiful.
they're
It's
very
just
nice.
that keep in mind, this is an arts and crafts show, so it's got to be
Yes.
more crafty, more artsy than
Yeah.
than what you've got on the
Yeah.
table now.
So
Okay.
Carmen, how long would it take you to get that additional supply that you need for the show? I mean, for the Village Fest?
I don't, maybe a couple of weeks, a week or two.
All right, so then how about,
At that
well,
next meeting.
there's no motion on the floor yet, but once we do that, what we could do, Carmen, is that you could be in touch with staff with Faith and or Jasmine. And then they would schedule you for the meeting. Just so you know, our meetings are on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month.
Okay, so that
so
would
we-
put us, okay, in a couple of weeks' time for the
Yes.
next
2 weeks would be the 12th, and
12th.
2 weeks after that is the 26th of October.
26th of October.
Yeah,
Okay, so,
either
well-
the 12th or the 26th. That would be up to you, honestly, whatever.
oh,
works.
really? Okay. So how would I do that? Just call you and let you know I'm ready, or
You'll
Get in
discuss
touch
it with
at
Faith.
the Village Fest.
Faith? Okay, got it. Thank you, Julie. Thank you.
Faith runs the whole show here. Everyone has to
I
understand
bet-
that. So it is.
So I just want you to know that we provisionally are interested in your work, Carmen. We just need to have you do some, get some inventory that we can look at, that it's just the wrapping and the more artistic pieces, not just
It-
strung.
It makes sense.
Okay,
I
great.
understand you clearly. It does
Okay.
make sense because you've got all those stores down there, you know,
Absolutely.
and they have all that.
Right,
So I understand.
great.
We have to be
Keep the word
unique.
unique in your head.
Yeah.
Unique. That's the whole idea, that it's
Yeah.
artisan, it's crafted, and it's unique.
Okay,
So we
perfect.
look
Thank you,
forward to
Carmen.
seeing you. We look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Yes,
With
thank
your
you so much.
appreciativeness.
Thank
you.
Jasmine, do
Okay.
we need a
Thank you.
motion to, for this, or
No.
does Carmen just come back? Okay,
You
fine.
do, you need a motion. You do need a
Oh.
motion.
Okay,
Just
So-
to not approve pending, she's gonna come back to the board.
okay, so then Julie, would you like to make the motion since,
I make a motion that Carmen will visit us in, whatever time she needs with her arts and crafts for our approval.
Second.
all in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Carmen, you're supposed to be opposed. No, I'm only kidding.
Oh,
No, no.
I appreciate the
I'm only kidding,
opportunity.
Carmen, but thank you for understanding, and thank
Okay.
you for
Oh,
spending time
yeah.
to do this.
Oh, yeah.
And again, it's provisional, we want you to come back and see if you can offer a product that is really in line with the standards for Village Fest. And if so, we would love to have you on the street, okay?
Perfect.
Thank
I
you,
think-
Carmen.
Second,
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank
Who
So
was
you.
the
do I
second?
take off now?
Yep,
Oh,
you can. You don't have to sit through this.
Oh, okay.
Dan,
No,
I
maybe
need to know
I
who was
should.
the second on that?
It was John
Fine.
Bolton.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so next is Don Roger from Don's Juices, which is a food service that serves juice beverages. Hi, Don. Don, you're on mute, if you can unmute. What did he hear you?
There we go.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
I'm
Don,
ready.
You're up.
Okay, so I am Don's Juices. Currently, I'm in 4 different farmers markets. So I make a strawberry, orange, and guava. I make a pomegranate lemonade and horchata. I pick all my oranges. I pick all my pomegranates. I make all my juices myself. At other markets, I also have where I sell the pomegranates and I sell people the oranges. And I also make pomegranate seeds. So I'll sell people just the whole cup of seeds.
Excuse me, can I ask people to mute themselves if they're not on? Because we're hearing background noise. So if you're on your phone or you're getting messages, can you just mute yourself?
Are we ready?
Yeah,
Perfect.
go ahead, Don.
Carry on, Don.
That sounds a whole lot better. Did you guys hear everything I said, or?
Yes,
Yes.
well, I did. Is everyone
Yes.
okay?
So, I mean, that's pretty much, you know, I've owned a juice bar for 10 years and now I just do farmers markets.
Okay, so I have a question. Is your product at Village Fest going to be just the juices, or it's going to be the juices and fresh fruit and whatever prepared?
The
food?
seeds, it could be all of it. I would bring all of it because I'll already be in a market on Thursday morning in Indian Wells. So I'll be doing all that stuff out there anyways.
That was my other question. Does this conflict with that time-wise? Because you'd have to be there.
Not at all, because that market's over by 2 o'clock.
Perfect. Okay. Faith, are all those items on his application? And if not, if we could just update it, because I thought it was just juices on the application.
I don't remember.
And how does it come? Does it come
On
in
the
a
application,
container?
we just have the assorted juice and horchata.
Oh,
That's what I
okay.
thought. So if you'd like to add the fruit, fresh fruit and prepared fruit, we could do that now. as long as
Okay,
everyone
let's
else
do
is
that.
And
Okay.
prepared fruit.
Yep.
So
Because, like,
is it bottled? Is it bottled or is it squeezed right there? What is your?
No, I make it here in the kitchen I'm at right now, and then I put it in the 10-gallon containers and bring it out.
Oh, so it pours from a spout.
So it pours from a spout.
And
I
you're
pour it-
pouring and serving, right? You don't allow the customers to cup? and
No,
that?
no, no,
Okay.
no, no, just me. And then I have cups that I put them into.
Okay.
So would he be in the farmer's market or would he be in the food court? Because he's selling fresh produce.
Either or.
Faith? How does that work?
So he wants to
Okay.
have the juice and then he wants to have like packaged. It's already like packaged.
There's going to be packaged prepared fruit, meaning like pomegranate seeds in a plastic container.
Right. And that's only going to go for about another month and a half, 2 months, and then the season's over.
How about the fresh fruit though? Is that going to be packaged or just loose fresh fruit?
I put it in bags like this.
Okay. And is that how you sell it? You actually sell the whole bags like that?
Oh yeah, I sell whole bags of fruit.
Okay. So
So will he be making the juice down there?
No,
No.
I'll make the juice here in the kitchen where I'm at right now.
It's already prepackaged?
Yep. Well, no, it's
Yeah, so he
the
was
it's going
juice.
to be fresh pouring it, actually, Faith.
just fresh pouring it.
Yes.
Right.
It's in like a big cooler and then he pours it, caps it, and then hands it.
Yeah, there's my coolers are back over here.
Jasmine, would that be
But it could fall into the farmer's market.
farmer's market? I thought so, okay.
That's what I think too, yeah. So he wouldn't be in the food court, he'd be in the farmer's market. Don, are you aware of that?
No, I didn't. But I mean, if you just want me for juices, I can do just juices and keep
Well,
me in the food
it's
court.
it's kind of up to you, because if you just do juice, then you'll be in the food court. But if you do produce, then you're competing with the other people who bring fresh items in, and that would be farmer's market.
Well, then why don't we just do just the food court and keep me over there where all the food is? Because that's primarily what I sell anyways. Is I sell a ton of juices, and then some people like to see the oranges and go, oh, are these the oranges? The juice comes from these oranges? Yeah. But, you know, I can do just juices and keep the booth simple.
So if he decides to do just juices, he can pretty much be placed anywhere on the street. He doesn't necessarily need to be placed in the food court.
That's correct.
It kind of fall into the like e-Pels type of product where we've kind of got those scattered throughout the event. But I think it would be beneficial if we approve all of the items. If that's with the board's, obviously the board's discretion, but if he should decide down the line he does want to add some fruit, we can just move his location to fit into the farmer's market.
I think. that makes
Jasmine,
sense.
I have a question. Does he have to be behind a screen, a tent when pouring?
No, he probably would be fine with some sort of blockade, but I can confirm that with the with Riverside County Health when he gets his final permit.
Okay.
Generally what they want is I do a panel on each side, but not the front and the back.
Yeah, you're talking about the tent. I think she was asking.
Well, yeah, it's a tent. I have a tent up, but then I have a sides on my left and my right, but I don't have one on front or the back.
Yeah, so our Riverside County Palm Springs office requires 4 sides typically for anything that is open food. But I know that for like EPELs or that type of icy, they require, it's kind of just like a clear area that can be in front so that there's no kind of back and forth of anything.
Like
Yeah,
a
when they-
semi shield. Like a semi shield.
When they see me at Indian Wells, they don't have a problem with the setup I currently have. So
Yeah, I'll confirm that, Julie, through our Department of Health here.
Okay,
I have a question. Don, in keeping with the last discussion we had with the last applicant, what is it about this juice that you're adding to the process that makes it unique and different than juice you could buy at Ralph's?
well, you can't buy a strawberry, orange, and guava. That's just, you can't do that. Horchata, I make it myself. And the pomegranate lemonade, you can't find that anywhere.
And also, Greg, that's not the same standard for the food vendors, just, you know.
I understand.
FYI.
I understand. I just wanted to understand the uniqueness.
Yeah. Like we have several taco vendors. We have more than one vendor doing hamburgers and things like that. So yeah,
shall we take a motion?
absolutely. Julie, go for it. Let's keep this
I make a
meeting moving.
motion that Dawn's Juice Factory is approved.
And I'll
Second.
second that with the caveat that approved with those additional items that he mentioned, meaning prepared packaged fruit, and as well as the fresh fruit if he decides to go into the farmer's market. Otherwise, we have to have him come back.
Also in the accordance of what Jasmine needs to work on as well.
Yeah.
I second, or I third. No, I can't second it. Never mind. Never mind.
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations, Don, and welcome to the street. We look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And if you'd like to stay on, you're more than welcome to, and if not, you can drop. And that goes for everyone on the call after we review your items. And if you'd like to drop, you can. If you'd like to stay, you're more than welcome. The next vendor is Michaela O'Brien from Faro Apparel.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Okay. Hi, I'm Michaela O'Brien. I am owner and designer, one of the owners and one of the designers of Faro Apparel. It's actually me and my partner. He can't be here today. So we started out in the Coachella Valley. It is local, 2016. We got our logo.
Excuse me
We
one
actually-
second. Whoever has that noise in the background, can you please mute?
Julie, I think it's you because your space keeps popping up when we hear the noise.
I have nothing around me.
Ah, weird. Okay.
You
If
ready?
everybody could just hit mute, that'd be great.
I could still hear a phone call going on somewhere. but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Something.
All righty. So in 2016, we actually created our logo. I printed out a little picture here so you could see it with me. And then we created our name, which took a little bit. We had a bunch of different trial and errors with that. So if you see our name is Faro Apparel, and Faro is not typically spelled like your traditional Faro. We actually have trademarked that as well. But this is the P here, and this is the A here in Faro Apparel. But our logo itself is actually representative of, if you're familiar with the Egyptian culture, the Eye of Ra, the Eye of Horus, which is representative of the pineal gland in humans, which is also kind of like the third eye in Buddhism and being your best version of yourself. So that's really the foundation of our clothing brand. When you wear our clothes, we want you to feel like the best version of yourself, and everything that we have, our designs, you can't find on Google. Everything is done in-house by the artists, by the designers. Right here, actually in my living room, I have a 6-head embroidery machine. It's a 2,000-pound machine right here. I don't have a couch anymore. Let's see here. I don't know if there's a specific type of clothing you want to see. I know this is our main one that we did.
Excuse me, can I make a request that we all mute ourselves so that we can just hear her? There's some background noise.
Okay. All right, and just interrupt or unmute if you need me to repeat or slow down or do anything, or if you want to see something specifically. So as far as our materials, where do we get our materials? Originally it started with thrift stores because we were broke kids. It was Goodwill, whatever we could find, whatever our parents were giving us. We were cutting, we were dyeing, we were putting bleach in spray bottles and, you know, leaving out in the sun, using Sharpies to draw on them. And eventually as we progressed, we had access to actual wholesale items that we're able to now mess with. So if you look actually right over there, I have a whole rack of just blank clothing that's ready to be cut, sewn, bedazzled, drawn on, you name it, cut in half, put together with the different shirt, sprayed outside right there on my patio. Let's see here. And also we do hats. I didn't submit these yet just because I don't really have anything to sell because they sold out actually. But when we do our hats, we do create our logo ourselves. But something that's different that makes us stand out from other vendors as far as hats go is we actually will draw and paint on our hats as well. So this is spray paint, and then we use a paintbrush and we'll splatter it like so. And even the texture will become different, but then you'll see it starts to turn into a regular hat all the way through. And we are community based, so we do invite other artists, whether you're an entertainer, you're looking for something specifically made for you for an event, or even a clothing line with your name or brand. Let's say you're an actual clothing brand and you need help and you need an artist. We actually will take in other brands or other artists and collab with them. So you'll see a lot of one of a kinds as well. And we do live paintings, live kind of design performances as well, if it's ever allowed at our vendor booths.
Can you show us just a few more of the clothing items? Hold them up to the camera so we can actually see what they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this one is recent. We're also in 2 stores here in the Valley. We're in one in Indio and then one in Cathedral City as well. I'm so sorry for my lack of inventory. We will have it ready though, for sure.
I do recommend though that you have Faith add the hats now to your application, because otherwise when you want to add, if you add one thing, you have to, that was on your application, you have to come back. So I suggest you do that. But anyway, I'm sorry.
How often can we, during your board meetings, right? So if we want to bring a new item, we'd have to come on that 2nd or 4th. Okay, that's fine. We honestly, with what we've submitted to the board right now, which is going to be this guy right here, and what I'm about to show you, we'll be fine with just this, because this is what's in stores that's pretty much keeping us afloat. So we'll be okay until the meantime. And as we make stuff, we'll obviously keep y'all involved, because I know winter is going to bring some fun stuff for us.
Can we see that? We couldn't see it. We just saw the hanger. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a tie-dye shirt. This one is blue, pink, and black, hand dyed. Not by us yet, but by somebody that we know. Right here is going to be a design that we've done ourselves. So the top right here is going to be a Pharo, spelling pharaoh. And what we actually did is we designed our own hieroglyphic alphabet for our company, which we use in our designs. And excuse me real quick. Not only do we use that specifically, which is why you can't find our designs anywhere else, we take in consideration the psychology of colors, the psychology of fabric, what we want someone to feel while they're either wearing it or looking at it. We don't just put something on, smack it on there and start selling it. We really, really think about the psychology behind what we do, which is what our brand's really about. We're philosophers, we're psychologists, we're artists. That's what we do. So that's the back of the shirt. They're actually black light activated too. So if you go out anywhere downtown Palm Springs, this right here on your spine is going to light up.
So can I ask you?
Go ahead, Julie.
You take a shirt and you have someone tie dye it, and then you add your logo to it, depending on the colors that you want to put on the shirt. Is that correct?
Yes, depending on the design that we've decided, we do take custom orders. So I actually have a couple of different custom colors. I don't have any to show you, but we will have them every once in a while. We have 3 staple tie-dye shirts. We have this pink one, we have a blue one, we have a black one, each with a staple color that we decided for.
Do you also have a label inside your shirts?
Yes, we do. We have our own tags. We have the proper tags of how to wash the shirt as well. Here, I'll pull up my logo. This is my t-shirt side tag. My size tag is a little untraditional. I do put it facing outward so you're able to see it, but it's kind of what stands us out as well, is that we're able to kind of mess with our placement. So we don't really have anything on the inside of the shirt to kind of keep it really comfortable.
So you don't actually cut and sew the shirts and tie dye them yourself. Is that correct?
So this specific one, no. This one, yes, we do. So this is my new tank top. It's a cami crop top. We'll take fabric. This is a polyester cotton mix. This is probably 75, 25, I want to say, maybe 95. And what I'll do is I'll take a big roll of fabric. It's pretty much gone now because I did sell out. I have one that I'm going to show you, one little piece still left. So I'll cut something like this. Obviously, I'll sew it. I sent you pictures as well. From that same fabric, what I'll do is I'll actually cut out probably an inch long strip right here, fold it, sew it, and then that'll be my strap for the same shirt. So the fabric's the same in the shirt.
So again, see, I'm not seeing a 75%. I don't know, how would you say it? A 75% artistic on this.
Handcrafted, I see. Yeah, and actually, Julie, I think, I would agree with you because they're not tie dyeing the shirts themselves. If they were taking a white t-shirt used as a canvas, then creating the whole thing, then I would say absolutely yes. Is there a reason why, because you said we're not dyeing them ourselves yet. Why is that, Michaela?
We just haven't gotten into it yet. And honestly, since the company's really taken off, we're kind of jumping from our 9-to-5 jobs and trying to do this full time. And it's been a little hard. So as far as our space also has been a little limited, but really because I got this new machine in, this has been this is in my living room. You're in my living room. This is my living room. That's my kitchen. That's what my focus has been. It's been building the brand. We just came out with this design that's been a huge hit. It sold out in 2 stores. So now we're going into, okay, we need to take all the reins in. We've cut everybody out already. All, the wholesalers, the third parties, we're doing it all in.
So can I ask, is this screen printed? Do you embroider it? How do you get your logo on there?
So we are embroiderers. We are
Okay.
Yeah, or we're
That's a
painters
new thing.
We do paint too though. So we will do mixed media, and that's what's going to distinguish us. And I don't have anything right now to show you. And if I need to come back later, by all means, I will, and you will see me later. But what we have coming out is going to be something that you've never seen. We are a brand that you've never seen before. We are very different.
So those shirts that you showed us, the tie-dye one with your insignia on it, and that's all embroidery?
That's all embroidery, and that's all done by me. I learned this 2 months ago.
Cece, she's talking.
Myself.
Cece, she's talking about the logo.
Right, but that's a craft. I think
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
something
Yeah.
that is, she's taking a raw material and she's adding her own unique embellishment to it and embroidering. And that's like anything that's on the street fair, hats that have, bands put on them or all kinds of things. So I think this falls under the guidelines.
I think so too. I would agree with you. I take Julie's point, but for me, the point really is that I'm not seeing inventory. We saw the one t-shirt in 2 colors and a piece of fabric that is typically used for a tank top. Michaela, you mentioned that because you don't have the items. How will you have the items and when?
I gotta say, I was completely thrown off by your presentation when I reviewed all the applications yesterday. I had no idea what you do. I mean, I guess if I had to put it in layman's terms, 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, people started walking around with a shirt that said FUBU on it.
Yes.
And I had no idea what it meant. And I had to ask somebody, and it's, for us, by us. And that was what the African-American community did to promote their style of clothing. And I guess that was unique to that culture. And I'm guessing that's something that's unique to your sense of style, your psychology, your beliefs. And And it makes more sense now, but I wouldn't be turned on by it unless I saw it all over the place. And I guess that's where you're coming from. And people see it and they're into it and they buy it. But how much was the actual price of one of those sweatshirts, if I remember correctly?
For the sweatshirts that I sell,
Yeah.
the shirt itself I sell for $25. Which
Okay.
is really, really good quality. It's 100% cotton, and the embroidery itself, embroidery is very expensive.
Yeah.
It's one of the highest quality ways to design and embroider and to design on any type of fabric. Polo does it, all
Yeah.
the high end. We did do screen print a long time ago, and I told you we started out drawing with just Sharpies when we were kids.
Yeah.
But now we've moved in through trial and error. We know what looks elegant. We know what's
Yeah.
gonna be, when you buy this, you're just gonna go through the wash, you're gonna have it forever.
I get it.
Any other board members have any questions?
No, but I agree with you, Dan. I'm a little, I think this falls within the parameters of what we allow at Village Fest because you do the embellishment. However, I think that I'm a little concerned about your lack of inventory. And I don't know when you plan to start, but you have shown us a shirt and an unsewn tank top, and that's all you presented to us tonight. So is it all shirts and tank tops?
No, it's just stuff that I'm not gonna show you because I'm not gonna bring it to the festival yet until I'm ready to present it to you
Well,
guys.
what are you bringing to the festival? What now do you?
The tie-dye shirt, all my cami tops that I will have ready for it. Those are the two main things I'm gonna bring to start out with. And I know they'll do well and I know they'll sell out just like they have been doing.
Okay, so if those are the only two things that you want to bring, those are the only two things you can bring, unless you
now.
come back to the board and like your hats and anything else that you might want to add to your booth, those will have to be brought back before the board.
Okay, yep.
And I love what you do. I think it's very artistic what you do. I love the idea that you created your entire own hieroglyphic alphabet. I think it's very cool. So I think, the whole thing works for me. It's obvious that you're crafting this in your home and everything. Honestly, someone else coloring the shirts, it would be a little better if you were, but I'm not even hung up on that. I'm all good with that. The only thing is I'm not seeing a product line for me. And if you're willing to start just with 2 shirts, I don't know, are we willing to have a vendor that only has 2 style shirts and that's it? Or would we like Michaela to come back with more of a product line and then so that she can make a big blast opening when she starts at Village Fest?
Yeah, and I think that's her call. If she wants to be in a booth with 2 shirts, as Dottie used to say, the street will take care of it.
Yes, exactly.
So
that's true. Yeah.
How do we reconcile that with the previous applicant who didn't have the product?
Exactly. I think that Michaela needs to come back with a full booth line of more clothing. I don't think there's enough variety. I think that by somebody else tie-dyeing and then just adding a logo to it is not really manufacturing. It's not really, to me, it's not arts and crafts because she's not doing the full shirt herself.
But it is embroidery. So the shirt, I don't have as much problem with, but I totally agree with you, Julie, on the product line. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, but isn't that up to her? If we approve her to bring in a shirt and a tie-dye top or her tank top, isn't the onus on her to fill her booth up and not on us?
Well,
I mean, if she wants to sell at the Village Fest, she has to have enough merchandise to fill up a booth. And if
Yes,
she
but-
doesn't, it's gonna look funny.
Yes, but we didn't allow the other applicant to do that because she didn't have enough product.
Correct.
Because the other applicant is a different category and it's jewelry, and jewelry has to be 75% handmade. And hers, you guys didn't deem the strung jewelry does not qualify. And she only.
I would like to say too, Michaela, I think tie-dye is tie-dye. It's been there and done that. I think the most interesting piece you demonstrated was your hat. And it represented your artistic abilities and creative thinking. I would encourage you to consider marketing that. I think that was unique and different.
That's what we're getting toward. And honestly, that's where all of our clothes are going to end up. It's just at the end of the day, what it is I want to get into the Village Fest so that I can really leave my 9 to 5. I know it's going to do well. I can now finally be supported on my storefronts, the Village Fest, and solely put all my focus into this and take away anybody that I have on the outside doing anything and really, you know, do this. But it's all that I guess all it takes is someone to give it a chance. And then
Can you tell us how many pieces of merchandise you were going to have ready to go? Say if you were to be admitted to Village Fest and you were going to start in a couple of weeks. How many
in a
pieces?
couple of weeks?
Yeah.
I could have 60, I could have 100. I have a 6-head embroidery machine. It makes 408 hats in 8 hours.
That's helpful.
This is a $45,000 machine right here behind me.
All right, so
You yourself
I
said
would say
you
that-
sell out. And so that means you go in 2 weeks, you sell out. The next week, you have to have just as much and
And
plan
that's
on
what
selling out every week.
And that's fine because this is going to be my job. This is what I'm going to do.
Okay.
This is my life.
And David, again, you know, the street will take care of her, right? If she doesn't have enough inventory and she doesn't have enough things, so A, she's paying for the booth. So she
Yeah.
won't- So numbers aren't gonna work. And secondly, she won't have clientele. So, you know, like we say, like, you know, the street will work that out, but it's really more a matter of whether we're comfortable with it. Honestly, because I think that it's such a craft and the embroidery is the craft. So guys, let's stop calling it a tie-dye t-shirt. It is embroidered. And embroidery is a craft. And I challenge anyone on this board to show me something they've embroidered, okay? Because
I agree. I agree.
I tried it, no, because I was on an art path at one time. I know how difficult, that was one of the most difficult things.
Are you talking about,
I'm
are you
sorry?
talking about by hand or machine?
By
By
machine.
machine as
by-
well. It's even more difficult by machine, actually. But
Yeah,
anyway,
you're more than welcome to all come over and give it a go if you'd like. It's very
got 7
fun.
heads, she can put all 7 of us there, right? But anyway, no, but that's not an issue for me, but I would be willing to make a motion to approve this vendor with the existing items, with the understanding that since she has to build more inventory, not variety of inventory, just more quantity of inventory, that we can leave it to her when she wants to start, because that is what we do anyway with everyone, right? But I would be okay with that if the other board members are okay. But is anyone like violently opposed to us starting down the path here that way and then having Michaela come back to us with her additional items as she adds more items for winter and hats and things like that?
I'm not opposed to that.
Anyone violently opposed to that, or anyone opposed to that? I wouldn't even say violently, that's a little bit. Sorry, David, you know I can be a drama queen, but anyway, no, but seriously, all right, I'm gonna start the motion. Let's just move this. I'm gonna make a motion that we accept Michaela to the street with her existing styles that she showed us. And of course, we have the expectation that she's gonna expand her product line if she's putting her day job, I guess she has to. But anyway, that's my motion that I'll put on the floor.
I second that with the caveat that if she adds hats or any other items of clothing, that she comes back to us and shows us the new items to be included.
Agreed.
Because you want one.
I want a hat, but anyway, that's a whole other thing.
So we have a second.
Okay, so all in favor, aye?
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Okay,
We didn't have a full board, anybody abstaining? I mean, we didn't get a full board vote on that, did we?
I can't really see because I'm in speaker mode on a second and
We need to get rid of this Zoom.
get rid of the chat here.
Exactly.
As long as we don't hear someone for opposed, then we go with a.
Great.
So there's none, okay, so welcome to the street, Michaela. Congratulations. You are part of Village Fest. Good luck with it and get to work. Get to work on that very expensive machine of yours.
Thank you. Y'all will not be disappointed. Thank you
All
very much.
right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Great.
So point of information, so 75% of jewelry has to be handmade, and clothing, what's the percentage that has to be handmade? Is there a distinction? I'm not familiar.
Arts and crafts, all arts and crafts should be 75% handmade. Jewelry, when it's strung jewelry, that's not 75% because they're not making their beads. They're stringing the beads. So the jewelry they like to be soldered or wire wrapped and things like that. And a lot of times with shirt vendors and things like that, they use that as like an artist that's a painter, and that's the canvas, and then they do their work on the canvas.
So there's not a percentage for clothing like there is for,
And the arts and crafts is 75% across the board.
so is clothing arts and crafts?
Yes.
Yes, and just like a photographer may just go take pictures, you know what I mean, and then just print them, they still deem that as 75% handmade, even if they're not printing them themselves or they're putting them on canvas or metal and things like that.
Just like like an artist who does, like an artist who paints on canvas, they don't make the canvas, but they paint on the canvas.
And they don't even make the thing that they're painting most of the time. If they're painting a scene, they didn't make the tree, right? So,
The found object,
Yeah.
yeah.
however, creating a design, embroidering it on, again, that brings us more into that they've actually crafted it because they've created.
Well, I wouldn't consider that 75% though.
And how would you calculate that, Julie?
Well, can we move on? We've already voted
Yes,
for
let's
this
move.
person, so.
That's
it's a
true.
moot
I
point.
wanted to ask Faith, how many spots do we have that we need to fill at Village Fest?
Well, we're going to be expanding the street in October, so we have lots of spots to
Oh,
fill.
good. Okay, I got you. Okay, good.
We have a lot.
And that was going to be a new business anyway, so we will talk about that a little bit, Julie. So I only know a little bit more about it because I was with Faith today. So, okay. Next vendor, Shep Kitchen, Robert Shepherd. Hello, Robert.
Hey, good afternoon, board members and everyone that's joining us. Can you
Hi,
hear me?
Robert.
Yes.
Okay. I'm Robert. I run Chef's Kitchen. I started off with Food Nom. I've been a cook as well as a chef in the Coachella Valley since 1985. I then went to Las Vegas, cooked in some of the major hotels out there, and I just said, why work for everyone when I can do it myself? And all my dishes are from my family tradition cookouts that we have had over the years. I come from a very large family from the South, and my kitchen is a soul fusion, which I know nowhere in the desert we actually have good soul food.
Okay.
So I'm basically bringing just the barbecued out right now. I'm hearing that you have to come back and make them in to add more items. But since we're still in a warm time and my barbecued is very tasty, you know, I'm just going to start off with the barbecue, but I do a lot of different dishes.
Okay.
So what specifically do you want to offer at Village Fest right now?
Delicious barbecue soul food recipe.
So what is that? The pork, the chicken, and the sausage,
Yep.
and
And
anything
then
else?
I have potato salad. I have collard greens. I have baked beans and homemade mac and cheese
Okay.
and corn on the cob.
On the cob.
And you'll be selling beverages as well, right?
Yes, like
Okay.
drinks, sodas, and waters.
All right. Anyone have any questions?
I just wondered, did you have anything we could look at? I mean, did you bring any?
I just sent in everything that I had. I have a video, but I don't have nothing prepared today.
Okay.
I was unaware that I had to have something prepared. I would have.
Well, in normal times, we're not on the Zoom meeting. We're meeting in person, and typically you would bring in some of your product to show and sample.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
I would say in his application that I looked at yesterday, he did a very nice job presenting what he's bringing
Yep.
to offer. And I would say is probably the only Southerner on this board. I'm anxious to try your food, Robert. So I'll give it a true test. Being from Memphis, I know good Southern food and soul food.
All right.
I don't know. Faith might give you a good run for your money there, Greg.
Good.
We got Alabama right here, so.
All right, John.
New Orleans, 5 years out of college.
I'm out of Mississippi, Gulfport, Mississippi.
Been there.
Hey. All right. If there's no other questions, can we put a motion to the floor, please?
I would move that we add Robert Shepherd, Shep's Kitchen to the Village Fest venue.
I will second it.
Okay, so moved by Greg Roberts, seconded by David Anderson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Thank you.
opposed? Welcome to the street, Robert. We'll see you on the street.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next person, Sazi's Galleria. The first agenda had a typo in it and said it was food, but it's actually not food. So Faith, you sent a new one, didn't you? Send a new agenda? Faith?
I did, I updated the agenda and sent that out to the board, yes.
Here we go, yep, yes, so I don't even have that one open, apologies, all right.
Hello, can you see me and hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Hello, everyone. How are we this evening?
We're very good, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. So we're Sazi's Galleria. October 1st, we'll have been here 1 year. So we opened right smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. Our timing wasn't the greatest, but we signed a lease in February. We are a Galleria. We are located in downtown Palm Springs next to Crystal Fantasy across from the Hyatt. Being a Galleria, we have numerous artists in our store. We have close to 50 different artists in our store with all kinds of different forms of art. My wife and I are not artists ourselves, but we have a great eye for arts, and we offer a very unique variety from different artists locally, statewide, and regionally. So we have artists from all over in order to have a nice, unique variety.
And just as a point of reference for the recently joining board members, when you're a downtown merchant, it's not an arts and crafts category, it's a downtown merchant. And so as a downtown merchant can display anything they carry in their store on Palm Canyon at their booth. However, they cannot introduce new items that they don't have in their store. Okay. So that said, did you have anything else to tell us?
I don't think so. I mean, that should not be an issue. I mean, almost everything in here is handmade by an artist. I mean, we do have some food products and we have some soap and lotions, but we wouldn't bring those out onto the street. We would just focus on all of our artwork.
Okay.
So, it's when you said though, bringing new stuff in. Now, if we add artists, let's say a month or two down the road, would we have to come back and tell you we have new artists in the store? Because, right now we have 50 different artists, and I don't know if you want to see any of them. I'd be happy to show you. I'm standing in the store right now. I'd be happy to show you anything you'd want to see, pottery, wall art. But when you said new stuff, if we add an artist, what's the procedure?
Well, if you already have artisan pottery on your application and it's a new artist also making artisan pottery, you're already set, right?
Oh, okay.
But if you start to introduce, something new like mobiles, and you didn't have mobiles on your application, then that's something that you'd have to come back and.
Okay, yeah, and I'm not sure if I put exactly everything on the application. I kind of kept it general as far as pottery, jewelry, wall art, wood art.
I saw mugs. I saw the word mugs. I remember on the application. I don't have them.
And that would be our main form of pottery. Yes, we have a lot of mugs within the pottery category.
Faith,
So
should we change that to say artisan pottery? So sorry. Should we change that on the application just to not get him tied up?
Yeah, that would be great, because we have so many different forms of art, and I didn't list every single one of them because being new, I wasn't sure that I had to list every single form of art that we have. So,
but to be clear, just so you understand, your store, whatever you have in your store, that's what you can show. Let's just say that your cousin has another store somewhere else and carries an item, you can't carry that item for them in your booth unless it's in your store.
That will not be an issue. Yep, no problem. Yep.
Because that's been a point of confusion in the past. I just want to.
Sure, yeah, that will not be an issue. No problem.
Okay. Any questions, anyone?
Will your storefront be open during the VillageFest hours?
Absolutely. We've been open so far that VillageFest has been running these last 2 or 3 months. We have had our store open later hours. So yeah, we do plan on having our store open along with our booth also, yes. We are located towards the, on the one end of town, and I know on this end of, or this block is all food vendors. So we would probably be, I'm guessing, a couple blocks down the street from our store.
You could work that out with Faith, actually. she would decide where you're going. That's, they do the placement.
Okay. Okay.
Does that.
I move that we accept Sazzy's Galleria merchant, downtown merchant to the street fair.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, so moved by Celia, seconded by Julie and Greg.
Yes.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, congratulations. Welcome to the street, although you're already on the street. Welcome up to the curbside.
Well,
And
thank,
we'll see you out there.
thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Take care.
Faith, I don't know if you noticed, but Joy has joined us for the attendance. All right, the next one is Alexandra DeRosa from Joy Tree Arts and Crafts, jewelry, bracelets, necklaces, anklets, and earrings.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Hello, my name's Alexandra DeRosa. It's just closing the door to get rid of the echo. Sorry about that. I've recently moved here with my husband, Christopher, who's also on the call, who's a co-owner of my business. I have a jewelry business. I make all the jewelry. Christopher helps me with the design and with purchasing when we go to trade shows. The work that I do, I've sold in La Jolla. I lived in La Jolla for 30 years. I sold at at craft shows in La Jolla, Rancho Santa Fe, farmers markets, Encinitas. And I live not very far from VillageFest. I live in the Barristo area. So I was excited to see that there was a market and a craft show. It actually looks like a general market. So the jewelry that I make, I do some beaded jewelry, and I do some bead stitching as well. And I'm going to actually switch cameras so you can get a better look at it. So you probably won't see me in a minute. So I'm just going to do that right now. And you can have a close-up look at the jewelry. Can you see that?
Yes.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not hearing you up. Okay, so this is beaded jewelry with seed beads that I actually make. They're embroidered, and I always include semi-precious stones in the jewelry. So these have got, I don't know if you can see this, these have got hematite here, and this has jasper and hematite also. The customers that I deal with are usually very interested in the stones and the jewelry. They often ask for a particular type of stone. So that has been part of the business premise. The stones are important. The design is very important. And that's been very helpful to me with the business and also with the customers. That is some of the jewelry I do. Let me show you some other.
Are these loomed pieces?
I actually can't hear you. Just.
Oh, well, we need to fix that because.
No, they're not lit. Yeah.
Pardon?
I don't know why you can't hear.
I can't hear actually.
I'm gonna move in here.
Okay. That's gonna echo.
Christopher, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to ask if these are loomed pieces.
No, absolutely not. They're all hand stitched. I grew up in England, and my mum taught me and my sister to embroider, to knit. We had 2 channels on TV in the days when I grew up. So, you obviously have to do a lot of entertaining yourself as a child. So that is the type of thing I learned when I was young, dressmaking, everything else. And as I said in my application, one of the reasons I started making jewelry is actually I'm actually very petite. So I would buy bracelets, they would fall off my hands. I would lose them. So I actually started making jewelry for myself. And then my friends and family saw it and said, you know, why don't you do this as a business? And what I have noticed is one size doesn't fit all. Most of the customers I meet are really excited because they will come up to me and they will say, you know, I really love your work, but I'm sure you don't have something that fits me. And then, you know, my husband is delighted to say, yes, she will. And we always do have something. So that is one of the things. It's been very, rather than the business being about me, it's been about the customers and the customers' desires, the customers' needs. Some of the jewelry that I make is actually designed by the customers. They come to my booth and they see something and they say, well, I really love it, but you know, if you could add an amethyst or you could add rose quartz, that would be just perfect. And I go away and I will do that. I have no problem with that. I do free shipping for all my customers. What else? I actually was recently at the Idlewild Art Fair, Art in the Park for the past couple of weekends. And I actually met a lot of people from Palm Springs there who were very, very interested when I said that I was going to be at VillageFest potentially. And, you know, they said that would be great because we would love to buy from you at VillageFest. So I can show you some of the other items I do. Obviously, that's not everyone's cup of tea because you know, if you're a man, my jewelry is for men and women. So if you're a man, you're obviously not going to be interested in wearing that probably.
Can I ask a question?
The earrings. These are very popular. This was one of the things.
He has a question.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well, where should I go to the question?
So the piece that you had with the turquoise piece, is that something that you've done something to? Is that just a piece that you bought somewhere and strung onto
which piece?
The one you
the turquoise pendant.
Right. This one?
No, the turquoise pendant.
Yeah,
oh, this one. No, actually, this is a stone, and then it's a stone that I bought.
Okay, so that you bought it with a hole drilled in it and just added the clasp and the chain.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would not qualify, nor would the bracelet, the round beaded bracelet that you just showed us, because that was similar to the woman that was here early, Carmen.
Yeah, I actually did hear that. So I wasn't aware of the 75%. You know, I didn't know that. So the beads are obviously, I don't create the beads myself.
The bead, you had bracelets in your application that were of the seed bead type that you did. That were very creative. Can we see some? No, not that. You had pieces of seed bead. Nope.
Oh, these. Sorry. This.
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. You had bracelets that you did. You had pictures of bracelets that you had done.
Bracelets that I've done. These are all. I've got lots of bracelets. I don't know which one exactly you had. Was it the amethyst one?
No, it was like the sea bead pendant, that necklace that you have, that chevron pattern. You had bracelets, like flat bracelets that you had done, not beaded bracelets, not the round.
So in her application, the necklaces that she's showing, there's no pictures of those in here at all. It's just and in her booth as well, it's just the necklaces with the pendants on them, and then the bracelet. So there's no.
So
okay.
Can I just say, this is Chris. I'm with Alex.
Chris
we did sell a lot of the stuff that is within that application, you know, with the passage of time. So some of the products we're showing today are different. You know, they're not the same ones that were in the application. So
right, but this necklace here that's a little more intricate, there's none of that. It's just the strung bracelets mostly.
okay.
Just the pendants with the stone on it.
No, Faith is correct. That was on the application. Yes. And I've got to be honest, when I read the application, I wasn't sure why you needed to see, what the premise was behind the making thing, because I've not been asked that before. So I was a little puzzled, and I just it said show the making process. So I did. But I wasn't really understanding the premise behind that.
So just to demystify this for you, Chris and Alexandra, so the string of wooden beads, that is not, that's too ordinary. There's nothing unique about it. And that doesn't fit the standard for VillageFest and the artisan 75% standard, right? The pendants, when I was looking through your package, I saw your receipts from buying all of your supplies, and you're actually buying pendants. There's actually, it says pendants, it says what they're made of, and you buy them.
When they say pendants, they're actually the stones. They're not made up pendants. They're the stones.
Okay,
because
but
there's no requirement for me to buy pendants. That would be silly.
okay, and then the other thing that was on there, I noticed there was in a few places it said string of beads like 15.5 inches. So they're already strung, right?
No, let me show you what they are.
Okay.
It means.
But the embroidered seed bead stuff like
it
that,
seems something like this.
Yeah.
No one will buy that. It's on a piece of plastic wire. That's not a design.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
just a string.
But you still just
if you
string
go
them.
to a trade, if you go to a trade show, that's how they sell them to you.
Okay.
It doesn't look finished. It's a piece
Understood.
of,
What are you doing with
sewing.
them? Aside from stringing them and putting a clasp, is there anything else that you're doing with these beads? Are you hammering metal pendants yourself?
No, I'm not hammering. No,
cutting
Faith
metal?
did ask me if I was hammering or soldering
Yeah.
or anything. No,
Or wrapping
actually,
or-
the thing is, it's I'm focused more on design really, because that is also a skill and it's a craft. Well, I guess what I'm not really following what the focus is for this to be on the VillageFest. What is the focus?
So can I tell you, I've made jewelry before, and when you
Yes.
buy a string of beads like this, and then you put them together with other beads and maybe add a few silver beads and then add a clasp, that is not 75% handcrafted. That's stringing. When you do what you did with the weaving of the beads, the seed bead,
Right.
that is more of what we're looking for. The earrings and the necklace that you're showing that are that are you make a pattern, you string the
Right.
seed beads. That is more of what I think is more acceptable. The rest is just stringing.
I see.
So do you have enough of the bead weaving that you feel comfortable just showing those things? Because I think those are beautiful and I think they would do very well.
I probably could have enough, but from a business perspective, I'm not sure that would be sufficient for me to do that. I don't know. Because my most popular products are, unfortunately, they're this particular bracelet with the onyx, tiger's eye, and hematite is the most popular product.
And is that on an elastic string?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. So see,
Slip
those are
on
things.
bracelet.
Yeah. So I think then it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to present more of the bead weaving that you do,
So
whether
this
you think you want to, yeah. Earrings and that necklace. Those are more handcrafted than just adding beads to a string.
Okay. No, I do understand what you're saying, because I know that, to create something like that takes longer than something like that. However, I don't believe it's quite as popular. So
it's also more unique.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it as a, kind of a crafts fair. So
Artisan craft fair. That's what it
artists
is.
and crafts. So, you know, you can
Artists.
buy elastic string beads pretty much anywhere. And we want this to be a really, you know, your designs are beautiful, your beads are beautiful, but it's not something that's unique.
And then being
But you would,
semi-precious
so the
stones is not-
so when you say that they're not unique, there are other jewelry vendors on VillageFest, because like I say, I can walk to VillageFest. I'm 10 minutes away. I go every week. And I actually have never seen any of the strung bracelets that look like mine. So
Because we weed
I
them
do
out.
believe the design is important.
And I agree with you, but we have to stick to the standard of it being 75% handcrafted. And when you weave the beads, the seed beads, that's handcrafted. When you string a bead onto a piece of wire or a piece of elastic, just like with what we said to Carmen, that's something that's, you know, not unique.
It's Chris here. I have a question. Can I speak? Somebody mentioned the loom earlier. I think you mentioned.
I did, yeah.
The loom. What does that do to the process? I mean, she doesn't.
Nothing.
The loom.
Because I've made loom bracelets before, and those take a lot of time, and they're very delicate, and you have to design the pattern and
So that falls into does that fall into the 75%?
That would be considered artisan craft, yes. So the
Okay,
artisan has crafted it, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So however, whether she uses a needle and thread or whether she puts it on a loom and creates a bracelet or a necklace on a loom, that's still handcrafted.
Or if she's using metals and wrapping them and embellishing them in other ways, and that's the thing. So as much as I understand what you're saying, that it's a popular item, if we were a retail store, yeah, I would definitely want that. I would want the tiger eye bracelet because I know it would be popular, but that's not what VillageFest is about. It is an artisan craft fair. Okay. And that's where the standards come from. And the reason why you haven't seen those beaded bracelets on the street is because we have rejected them before for the same reason.
Okay. So the other question I had, so looming, so is production. So one of the conflicts I picked up just in the discussion is that you ask people, do they have enough? And obviously if you make something by hand, it takes a long time. It's very creative. So what do you consider the right balance between those two things? How do you achieve unique handcrafted and then get enough to fill a 10 by 10 booth? I'm just looking for some guidelines on that.
Well, that's the conundrum. You know, that's what makes something very artistic and something that is easily manufactured. I mean, you know, people want to buy things that are unique and artistic and well made, and that you can't find in one of the stores along the street. So I think that's just sort of your call.
So with Alex,
also, if I could comment on that as well, it's not about volume, right? I would be concerned if somebody has only one or two items or shows us, you know, with the young lady that was on with the t-shirts. I love her work, but she had 3 t-shirts and that was it. She said she had nothing else to show us because she's all out of inventory. So I just wanted to make sure that she'll have something, because we don't want you to run out within the first hour. Remember that
we wouldn't want to run out either, because
it's a 4-hour thing. So you have to have enough inventory, you know, to attract people. That's all that is. So it's really not about volume. So there's no standard for you have to have X amount of inventory, just so you understand.
Okay. The other question is in terms of making it. So obviously everything you've looked at here, Alex made by hand. So in order to increase the productivity, if she was to work with somebody else, does that still qualify as being on the VillageFest? In other words, if she
you can't outsource production.
Sorry,
you can't outsource production. She could have someone work with her, absolutely, but you can't outsource production.
You mean like a company? You can't do outsourcing to a company, but if you wanted to work with a friend or she did something like that.
Yes, and you can't find a vendor online that can actually put them together for you, and then you send them the items and they do it and charge you, like nothing like that. Yeah, but
okay.
You certainly have people work with her.
Okay. So that's useful. Yeah, thank you.
The whole idea is that it's you know, you go there to see unique crafts that are created by individual artisans, And those artisans are in the booth. You get to talk to them about it. You get to understand how they make it and everything else, right? That's the spirit of VillageFest when it comes to the arts and crafts.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
It is. No, it helps a lot. Thank you. So the item, sorry.
I was gonna say, would you be interested in going forward with just your bead weaving? Or do you feel like it's not enough inventory for you?
Could we, obviously, it seems like that would be an okay product. Is that a true statement? The bead weaving?
Yes.
Right? And then the question is, from a business perspective, could we do enough of that? So I don't think we can answer that today. Can you have a provisional approval on certain things, or how does the process work?
Well, either we accept your product line and you get approved, period,
okay,
and then you come to the street, or we flat out reject it, which means your application's done, or you go back to the drawing board. We can actually make a motion to make a recommendation for you to go back to the drawing board, as we've done with some other people here, and then come back to us again.
Oh, and the drawing board would be
under the same application. Sorry, go ahead.
It would be looking at the bead stitching products and expanding upon those and selling those. Is that what?
Yeah, and it wouldn't have to be exactly that. Again, understanding that it has to be artisan craft and 75% crafted by the artist.
Okay.
Then you can use that, because there may be other things you want to do. It doesn't all have to be seed bead that's embroidered like that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but something in that line. Okay. All right. Well,
I'll hammer metal. We have people that wrap stones, and we have people actually make their own chains, or out of leather make their own necklaces out of the leather, and then embellish them with pendants and beads and stones and things. So
and then a few people mentioned wire wrapping. It seems like wire wrapping fits that model too. Is that true?
Yeah, it's just a really easy example for us to give, because people understand what that is who make jewelry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
In other words, instead of buying a pendant that already has a hole that's all ready to just string on a chain, because honestly, I can go buy that and I can make myself a necklace, right? Even though I'm not going to sell them. But rather than, I couldn't make the seed bead, I don't know how to embroider beads like that. So I couldn't do that if that's what
I can't make any of it. So from my point of view, it's all.
And I can appreciate that. It takes a lot of time. That's a very intricate process, whether you're doing it with a needle and thread or whether you're doing it on the loom. That takes a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right. So what kind of motion do we want to put on? Well, first of all, before we make the motion, Christopher and Alexandra, understanding that you cannot represent your product line as is to the street, are you willing to entertain the thought of going back to the drawing board and trying to come back with a product line that could be befitting for VillageFest and bring it to the street? Or do you prefer for us to make the judgment based on just the product line that you've shown us now?
I'm in a different room, but I would like to come back. Alex is the first.
Yeah, I agree with Chris completely.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough for them to show us right now, except for the earrings and that necklace. They don't have enough product to show.
Well, the implication being that if it's just based on the things that they've shown us and the bracelet she makes and the pendants that she hangs on the chains and stuff, I know I could not approve that. I would probably vote against that. That was my point. So in other words, do you want to be judged now based on what you showed us, or do you want to come back with an expanded product line based on what you understand about the standard for VillageFest? So that's really the question. Because we can go either way. We could just take a vote on the product line now.
I'm voting for what you just said. I would like to come back.
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
All right. So I will make the motion, since that was my idea. I'll make the motion that you go back to the drawing board and come back to us at VillageFest on a subsequent meeting with more handcrafted jewelry type of items that we can make a judgment on.
But we've established the type of products based on what you've seen. So we've obviously got something to work with in terms of the.
Yeah, if that's where you're
yeah.
going. But again, like I said, if you go back to the drawing board and you could think of other ways to do it, you know, other.
Okay, that's fine. So we're not stuck on just what's in the application. Again, I'm learning about.
No, if you want to stick with what's in the application, we're going to take the vote right now. So that's
Right. No, we'll expand it, but I'm trying to figure
Okay.
out which part is good, you know, which works and which doesn't. I think
You can always call me and I can go over everything.
Oh, is that right? Okay, well, that's nice.
Oh,
You can always
thank
call me
you.
and I can discuss it with you.
Okay. All right.
All right. So I make the motion that we ask this vendor to go back and review their product line and embellish it now that they understand better the standard for VillageFest Arts and Crafts.
I second.
Okay. So moved by me, seconded by Celia. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, so we'll see you at a subsequent meeting.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time. And again, you know, I hope that this was helpful so you can come back.
It was very helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next one. Natalie Gregson from Red Moon Wearing, Arts and Crafts, again, jewelry, earrings, studs, hat bands, and necklace pouch. Oh, a neck pouch. Okay.
Hi.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. So I'm Natalie. I'm the owner and founder of Red Moon Weaving, and a little bit of my process of how I created this and why. I was volunteering in Mexico as a human trafficking advocate and realized that most of the women or the young girls that I was working with were in the position that they were in due to poverty. And so to combat that, I started going down to Mexico City and working in the red light districts and teaching sex trafficking survivors how to weave beads. I taught myself how to do it so that I can teach the girls how to do it. A little bit of like how I started. I had like 500 markers and I would dot each design out to know how the design was going to look. And then I taught myself how to use Photoshop and created a template on Photoshop to also teach myself how to do it. And each bead is counted and numbered. So each pair of earrings on this will have about 500 beads. And so like an example on this one will have 9 of this color. It'll have 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I know how to weave the beads. All of my beads come in this type of a fashion, loose. That's a 250 gram bag of beads. They are all hand sewn. Where's my needle? There's my needles, my thread. I hand make the ear wires out of sterling silver. And I cut them and kind of mold them across the little tube of my wire or of my needles. And that's an example of how they come out.
Beautiful.
They're
Thank
really
you.
nice. Intricate. Fabulous.
Wow. So is it all earrings?
Nope, I have earrings. I can show you. That's a hat band.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Wow, that's really nice.
Thanks.
Well done.
I love what I get to do. Let me see. I have another hat band right there. Another hat band like that. And then what I do is I cut leather and adhere the leather to the ends of it so that it can tie on to any hat, any size. I also, this is, it's called a stash pouch.
Yeah.
So it holds like your debit card, your cash,
Yeah.
your ID, and it's worn as a necklace. I'm short, so that string is a little bit long.
What is the pouch made of?
It's all seed beads. Everything
Oh
is
my
a
God,
seed bead.
wow, so you actually make the pouch out of beads?
Yes, and then it's the seed bead pouch is loomed, and then it is hand sewn down the sides and hand strung the part that goes around your neck.
Wow.
Let me see. I have this pair. I have a lot of pairs, but
Beautiful.
Those are beautiful.
Thank you.
Very well done. Now, this is all handcrafted. She's even making the hoops that go through your ears.
The wires, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's making jewelry. That's what we're talking about. Okay.
This is, I love what I get to do. I mean, I make the first pair of everything, so I kind of know how it's gonna look. And then normally I would sit down with sex trafficking survivors or girls that are trying to get out and teach them how to do this and literally create employment for them. Whether they want to use me as a stepping stone to do whatever they want to do, or if this is keeping them off the streets, then this is keeping them off the streets.
Can I ask, all of the jewelry, and I've made bead loom bead earrings before, and I know how hard that is. Are you making all of the earrings, all of the product that you're going to show at VillageFest, or do you have the girls doing it and then you bring back their product with you?
Both. So I do make part of it, and then I also work with the girls to make it.
Are the girls working with you to make it, or are you actually sending them supplies, they're making it and shipping it back to you?
Normally I would be down there sitting at a table with them, but COVID has made that extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Honoring the Mexican culture, number one, that they are extremely scared of COVID.
Yeah.
I didn't want to come in as an American and be like, all right, like I have better healthcare, so I'm not super worried. I know you're worried, but bygones be bygones, let's do this. It didn't work like that. So COVID has made it extremely difficult to be down there and sitting face to face with the girls. But
Dan, isn't it true that the product has to be made by the artist? It can't be made by other people who are not represented in the booth?
Well, that's why I asked the question, are they working with her to do it? Because because a single person cannot make enough product every week to fill a booth, right? So we understand that. So to have people work with you is fine. What we don't allow at VillageFest is, offshore manufacturing facilities where the thing, it's being done, you have it done, you have all your supplies shipped there, they make it and they send you finished product.
No, that is not how I would ever want to do
How do you
business.
communicate with the girls now since you're not going down there?
Right.
Through WhatsApp or FaceTime or
So do you actually video with them and work with them? And
okay. Yeah, and that's when my heart is not as will ever be as an employer. My heart is to change the trajectory of their lives.
Yeah.
So I work in their homes. I know their families. I would never be considered an employer. I would consider it a partnership.
Of course. It's more of like an apprenticeship, if you will.
Yeah,
That's how I would rate this as an apprenticeship.
I met a artisan whose his family is indigenous weavers, and so we would go to some location, and I would have him with me, and then the girls, and he would actually make sure that the techniques that we were using were indigenously correct, culturally correct, and relevant to the region versus Americanizing the items that I'm having them.
While I think your product is exceptionally beautiful, Dan, I still have concerns. We have in the past had artists that were making jewelry that had apprentices and other people at different locations making their jewelry, and then we denied that. So I'm wondering in the spirit of fairness, if we can have her selling things that are made by people in Mexico. And I don't think that's, I don't know, maybe Faith or Jasmine can chime in here, but.
Just know too, like, I am not an employer. I am what I call like a life partner with all these people.
No, I hear that. I hear that. I don't think you're using slave labor or anything. I just, no, but I'm saying that, it's the artist is supposed to be in the booth and is responsible for making the things that are in the booth. So people that are not in the booth that have made these products, we've generally in the past had an issue with that.
And if
How
you
does
were
that-
going there, sorry, go ahead.
I would disagree in that she is the artist because she created the original. She may not be putting her hands on every piece, but she designed it. She picked the supplies. She taught the people how to put the intricacies into every piece. They're not using the creative skills.
But we have in the past had people who had workshops in other areas who have been the creators of the product and then had their apprentices work on it, and we have denied them.
Yeah.
I can remember last year
You're right.
having that issue come up where we said, if you did not create this yourself, you can't have other people making this and represented it as your own. As beautiful as I think these are, I don't know.
And before COVID, I was down in, because I'm in Mexico City. That's where I work with the girls. I would be there every 5 weeks, every 6 weeks, and spend a week and a half there working with them. Come back home because I'm a mom and I homeschool my kids. So come back, go back, come back, go back. COVID has just made it super difficult to be able to do that right now.
But your original model of actually going there, working with these young ladies, creating the product and then bringing product back with you, that absolutely fits, right? Because you don't have to make it here locally. You can make it wherever, but you're there and doing it hands-on with them. If you're just having supplies shipped to them and they're actually, I guess I'll call it manufacturer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know they're not inventing it because it's your design, but they're manufacturing it and sending it to you. Well, on a much smaller scale, that's no different from Calvin Klein designing a jacket and then having it made in Malaysia and shipping it to Macy's, right? So that's, so that's the thing that is, it's not a retail environment.
Right.
So that's the only thing. So Celia, to your concern, I have to be honest, I'm a little bit on the fence with it.
Okay. I mean, I love her product and I think it's very, beautiful and I think it's very artistic. I just, I don't know if, if we can.
Yeah, I mean, if you're working, if you're video chatting with them while they're working and showing them how to create it and you're showing them and then they do it, you're okay, you got that one good, so that one's done. That's a product you sell. You were actually working with them. That was an apprentice to you working with you.
In the same light, Dan, if we had an artist who was painting and then had other artists on the phone painting also, and then they represented those paintings in the VillageFest, that's not an original artist. That's true. Somebody else doing the work.
That's true. That's true.
Well, but I guess I'm a little bit concerned in regards to like selling hats. Somebody else made those hats and then she just kind of like put her touch on it. You know what I mean?
If you're embellishing it yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you figured out how to embellish it and then you sent it off for production, I kept on saying manufacturing and I meant production, but that's still a question because in the spirit of fairness, we have rejected other vendors based on exactly that same type of situation.
Okay. I mean, I can't be there right now just in honoring them, so my only way to interact with them in teaching or going over colors or going over what we think is best is on Zoom. That's
And
the only
your
way. I can watch it.
intentions and what you're doing to help them is extremely admirable. So please don't think.
No,
I think-
oh, for sure.
I think what Natalie's doing is unique and exquisite. And I do not believe that without, use your word, Dan, manufacturing support, any one person could make enough of these unique designs to bring them to a marketplace to supply demand. And I believe there will be tremendous demand for these. They're truly handmade.
Yeah.
And I mean, like this pair is 5 hours to make.
Yeah.
The hat band is 17 hours. The stash pouch is 11 hours.
Yeah.
So, you know, I could not.
It's not the issue, Greg, of whether or not the designs are exquisite, or I totally think these are beautiful. I would love to buy some. I would love to. It's just that we have this standard where we have refused people in the past, and because they were having production done somewhere else under their brand. And I think we either have to agree that that's something we're going to allow or we're not going to allow. And we have rejected, before you were on the board, members who did that, vendors who did that, I'm sorry. So that's my only concern.
I understand that, and I appreciate precedent. I really do. But if this is a venue that showcases true artistry, and I think this is a perfect example of true artistry. You know,
then we have to change. Then we have to change how we define that, because then we say it has to be. It could be produced elsewhere if you design the original piece, and that changes the nature of what this fair is all about.
Would you feel differently if these people assembling this jewelry were here in the United States versus Mexico?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I'd feel differently if she was working on site with them.
Absolutely. If she was helping her, if she was in there, if her helpers or her girls were in her home and were doing these earrings with her, that would be a different story. But it's a product that is being, it's something that's being produced by other people, and we have not allowed that in the past. And I'm not saying we shouldn't allow that. I'm just saying that we need to change we need to change what we allow.
She's demonstrated that this is her design, that this is her product. She's guiding the assembly of it and teaching how to put it together. I understand the precedent, and I'm not arguing against treating people differently. Please understand that. But I do think this is quite a unique product, and I think it would be in high demand at VillageFest. And, you know, that's where I'm struggling. Honestly.
I struggle
I
as
could
well.
just chime in real quick. It is not precedent in which you all are discussing. It is actually a rule in our rules and regulations. I'm trying to locate it right now. If you give me a couple minutes. So if the rule states something along the lines of the person who produces the product must be located in the booth. So it's very black and white. And the intent of that original rule, along with the rule of 75% handmade, was so that it did not compete with the merchants that are located 7 days a week on Palm Canyon Drive. So if that is something that this board wants to consider to change, that's okay, but we have to actually change the rules and regulations.
Exactly.
It's not like a precedent in which this is how the board viewed this rule. It is a very black and white rule, and it was intended to continue to support our downtown merchants while continuing VillageFest.
Thank you, Jasmine. That's very helpful. So I guess where that leaves us at this point is for someone to make a motion. I would just like to comment to say that, Natalie, we absolutely love what you're doing. I wouldn't say I love what you're doing. I love the idea of how you're helping these young ladies recover from their trauma and move on with a life. I think that's great. I love your product. I think it's absolutely beautiful and very well done. the offsite production is definitely an issue. And please understand that, and this is for everyone here, VillageFest is underneath the city of Palm Springs government, right? That's why we have to follow Robert's rules. That's why we have bylaws that we follow strictly and everything else. If we were a retail store, we could say, you know what, we're going to make an exception for this vendor because we love this product so much, we're going to put it in our front window and it's going to draw people in, right? But we're not a retail store. So we have to follow the rules. So I respect what Jasmine said. I appreciate it. And I have to say that I'm inclined to go with that.
Can I make a suggestion? Natalie, do you have enough product and or could you be going down to Mexico and make more of these things so that you could be an occasional vendor on the street?
I have a ton of product. And I do I do go back and forth. I made 9 trips usually in a year because I also work in a safe house with girls that are 11 to 17. And once they turn 18, if they want to work, you know, with me and I can help teach them, then I do that as well. I mean, if I don't, is there a certain amount of hours I have to be with the girls that qualifies like working with them? Because I have Zoom out, you know what I mean? I Zoom them. And it's only that I can't be there in person as honoring, you know,
let me ask you
honoring
this.
them.
Can you produce enough product yourself here that you produce for the booth and the products that you're having made by these young ladies, you know, offshore, you could possibly market in other ways that however you market your product now or wherever you show it. Is that practical or is that impractical for you?
No, it's not impractical, but my heart for creating this was to keep women out of the streets and being trafficked over and over.
You know what, there's the vendor that just came before you, Zazzy's Galleria. They take artists made stuff. I've been there. You could have your product in their gallery and you know what the girls do and then come on the street with what you could do.
For sure. And I mean, I can kind of hold up like the amount of packages that I have that are all I have inventory for days, you know, because my heart has really been as difficult as it's been to keep employing the girls through a crazy pandemic. You know, I knew what sex trafficking turned into during the pandemic, and it was tenfold worse than what it was, to be honest. So I never intended it for it to be me to profit off of it because that wasn't my heart. It was to create employment for those women. So even I couldn't take Red Moon Weaving and say, here, I'm going to sell the ones that I've made because that's not my heart.
So you wouldn't want to be on the street just by yourself doing what you could produce.
I would have to do something completely different. I wouldn't want anybody to ever be confused whether, wait, this is Red Moon Weaving. I thought she was anti-human trafficking and employed women, not employed herself. I would have to do something completely different just to make sure that there was no confusion in why this was created.
So then maybe the Galleria is something that you would, instead of VillageFest, the Galleria is something that you really might consider, because then you could definitely let people know that it's coming from this source and that you're helping the girls who are in the sex trade. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, I'll reach out to them then.
Yeah, I'm sure they would buy it, but if they put them in their store, I'll buy some of them. They're beautiful.
Okay, thank you. I love what I get to do. So, and
can I make a motion?
Yes, David.
Since Natalie is not fully aware of how the rules worked and all that kind of stuff, I would like us, and she's not in the business to make as much of a profit for herself as it is for the goodness of her organization, that we refund her application fee.
I'm not
Is
sure.
that a possibility?
Jasmine, is that even is that an option?
I don't think I paid the application fee yet, so it's okay.
Is it also possible that she could go in as a nonprofit?
I
I
was just
have
gonna
a
recommend that, Celia. Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah, if she applies to VillageFest as a nonprofit, then she could go under a different category.
Right.
I have
if-
a 501c3 for that fights human trafficking as well.
Yeah, as long as she has a 501c3.
Would you be interested in coming in just to promote support for women that have been trafficked?
So the rule says nonprofits may sell merchandise / items at their booth that represents the organization, i.e. calendars, mugs, t-shirts, etc.
That's branded merch.
Does it say branded?
It doesn't say branded.
Okay, so then that seems like she falls under that category. These are items made by women who've been rescued from sex trafficking, and it's a nonprofit. I don't see why she couldn't go under that status.
Jasmine, your thought on that?
I'll tell you the intent when we created the rule was so that it was branded merchandise, but it does not say branded merchandise. So the board has the discretion to
She could put a piece of paper on it that says what it is. A brochure or something. Come on.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you have a little card that you put with it when you sell them that actually says these were made by sex trafficking victims?
You guys have it in my application.
Oh, okay.
There's a picture. It's okay. There's a picture.
I probably saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the girls and I, and then the back talks about how this was created to create employment for sex trafficking survivors.
So then I'd like to make a motion that we allow this vendor to come in under the nonprofit category and sell her merchandise as a nonprofit.
I second. I think it's great.
That's so exciting.
Jasmine, are you comfortable with that?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
Hey.
So we have a motion on the floor, moved by Celia, seconded by David Anderson.
No, vice
All in
versa.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you. That's so exciting.
Hold on, anyone opposed?
Oh.
Okay, perfect. Well, Natalie, I know it was a tough road, and I'm sorry that we put you through the ringer here, but we,
it's okay.
we're all about finding solutions. So we found a solution for you.
Perfect.
And if any of the other merchants should take issue with it, please explain to them, if anyone comes to your booth, that you are a nonprofit and what your mission is, and that you're just selling the item.
You tell us who gives you a hard time. We'll go back and beat them up.
Okay, I'll find you guys.
David's a tough guy. Okay.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Natalie. So we'll see you
Welcome,
on the
Natalie.
street.
Welcome.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I love when a plan comes together.
That
Okay.
was great.
So who is next here? Next is Caroline. Duo Canary, arts and crafts, leather design, wallet belts, bags, flasks. And you guys.
Oh, good evening.
Good evening. I'm excited about this. These were beautiful in the file. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh,
very
thank you. This is Elishka and I'm Caroline. Ellie studied technical design and fashion design. I studied art therapy, and we decided to create this project combining the old historic craftsmanship of leather goods in a more modern take, using distilled stains for the painting of the leather and creating more colorful things. So what we prepared to show you is the steps, the process of how we make the products. So we have, for example, the flask. We have a glass bottle. Then we have the cuts, the design. We have the actual pieces of leather. We use Herman oak leather. It's based in Montana, St. Louis. It's vegetable tanned leather. The last of it's only 4 vegetable tanned tanneries now in the US.
Oh, wow.
And then we have the final product, which each is very different. Each product is very different. It's hand sewn on the sides.
And you do the tooling yourself?
Yes, we cut it from the leather. We cut it from the whole hide.
This used to be a cow.
And how do you get the colors in the leather? How do you get those colors?
Well, we actually use distill stains. We paint, but we just upgraded and we now use airbrush. And we have this new project of ours. I would like to show you, but I have to show you a photo. Just a moment. Počkej, Ali, telephone. Yeah. Yeah, so basically, I don't know if that's too much. It's a painting on a whole hide.
Oh, wow.
And this is the first series, so it's an honor to the 4 elements. And the idea is so we cut it up to different belts and we numbered them and each one has a number. So we would like to initially maybe connect the people who own the belts if they would want to be in a email list or something like that. And then each belt is hand cut, of course, and engraved.
Oh, wow.
Love it.
So it's 3-dimensional.
Oh yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that it's 3-dimensional. That's the kind of the idea of what our pieces are like. They are almost like sculptures, we like to think. So this is our fanny bag, for example. We don't use any plastic hardware. It's all
Magnetic?
metal. Yeah, metal. Thank you. And so this is how it looks worn. Yeah, when it's worn, it softens.
That's a purse?
It's a fanny bag. So
Okay.
you can wear it crossbody or around your waist. Then we have these smaller
Oh, very cool.
Oh, that's
kind of like
beautiful.
clutch bags.
Yeah.
And it's all hand stitched with leather
Beautiful
string.
stuff. Beautiful work.
Very nice.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
I think this is beautiful. I think
Also, don't think we have anyone that does anything like that.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you. This is our logo. It's 2 branches and a yin and a yang symbol. And
Yeah.
our name is Duokonari, so like 2 on a branch in Slovakian is the idea.
Very cool. Beautiful.
And yeah, these are the stamps that we use to press into the leather.
So you make belts, you make fanny packs, you make flasks, you make wallets. What else? Is that?
You
And
have
then we do-
bracelets
we
and
do this-
earrings on here. Can we see some of the jewelry, please?
Yeah, actually, we just came back from San Francisco from the West Coast Craft, and we can't find them. I'm sorry,
Oh.
we couldn't find them. We were looking
The
for them
photos?
while. What?
You have photos of
Those-
any of them that you can?
Oh,
just
yeah, I
post
think
on
I
screen
sent
for us?
a few photos of the earrings on the application, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't, it's unfortunate because usually we have the application in front of us and you're at the table talking to us. And
Okay.
because of COVID, what we're doing is the applications sit at the VillageFest office and we go one at a time into a conference room.
Okay, we'll
review
pull
them,
up a
and then leave.
photo quickly from the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're sustainable. So what we do with the leftover, because the belts are very long, we like to
Yeah, yeah.
leave them. Pohľadaš tú fotku niekde? We like to leave the belts very long, and then we cut off and adjust it to the person who would like to buy one. So it's all made on the spot, pretty much. We have a little table set up with that, and then we use the endings for bracelets.
Okay. How do you clasp the bracelet? You use like a snap or something, or do you?
Not a snap, because we figured it's better to use just the string, pretty much what we use for this here. You see, like it's a leather string.
Gotcha.
It's tight
Okay.
enough.
Okay.
It's tight enough to
Alright.
to pull.
Okay.
And we are
So quick-
currently based in Joshua Tree at the
Can you
moment.
tell us what the earrings are? Just describe how you make it. Pardon me.
Yeah,
Are they also leather?
it's basically the leftover pieces of the leather we cut
Okay.
into different shapes, and then I dye them or
Okay.
make like put a little bead on it or something.
Okay, perfect.
Just depends like what kind of thickness of leather we have at the moment, or oh I wanted to and I can
So
show
they're
you.
all unique and basically one of a kind, then it sounds like the jewelry.
Oh yeah, each piece is.
Okay.
Of course, except the vegetable tanned leather, we have a few pieces that we like to leave just plain natural,
Yeah. Mhm.
just for people to see and understand
leather.
the process of what we do.
Any questions? Any of the board members?
Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you. We have these engraved belts. Single, like, or
Oh, I love that.
That's beautiful.
so we
Yeah.
don't only do like big things and then paintings, but we also do single.
Oh, those are gorgeous.
I haven't seen work like this since I was a teenager on Seaside Boardwalk, Crazy Horse. They used to make these old hippies would be there making belts. And I had a beautiful belt for years and lost it, but
Oh,
lost it in my move. Yes, Greg.
Beautiful work. I think you're going to be wildly successful, and I'd like to make a motion to
Thank
add Du Canary to the Village Festival.
Second.
I second.
Okay, so moved by Greg, seconded by Celia and John, was that?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, well, congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
Beautiful
Thank you.
work. And welcome to the street. I can't wait to see all of your product line.
thank you.
All the best.
Beautiful work. Beautiful work.
Beautiful, yeah.
Okay, we have only 2 more vendors, so please hang on. I know I said this would be shorter. I was hoping to be done by 7:30, didn't happen. It's all right. Catherine Campbell, arts and crafts, fine art photographer, prints and greeting cards. This is the iPhoneography, right?
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
Catherine.
Hi, Catherine.
So
So tell us a little bit about just what you do, that you take photographs, I understand, with your iPhone, and then
Yes, I
you
do.
produce them. What inspires you? Where do you take the photographs? Type thing.
well,
And what does the product look like after you're done too? Let's see what some of the prints look like.
Okay. What inspires me? I don't know. I've been taking photographs since I was 15 years old, and everywhere I look, there's a picture. And I just moved to the desert from Florida in a year ago, September. And, there's just not enough places to stop on the streets.
Yeah.
It's very hard to pull over on the street because I see images everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
very beautiful here. So I've been working on a body of work strictly in the desert since I've been here. And so what I intend to sell is, and I'm sorry, I don't have my matted prints because they're somewhere in my studio and I didn't have time to get them, but I do have matted prints, but most of my work is on canvas. And it's different sizes. So it's 8x8 and, all these different sizes. So I can take you on a little tour of my wall.
Sure, do
But
it. Go for it.
okay. All right. So let's see. Let me, I need to flip this. I'll just do it this way. Okay. Well, first of all, my lighting is really bad in here, so I'm really sorry. But this is, can you see that? I can't tell. Hold on a second. Here we go. So this is a piece that I did. It's a series that I've been doing of cactus. And you can see this is, it's a 12x12. And this one is wrapped all the way around. And then there's the back. Sorry, you guys. And there's a back to it. So it's finished on the back. Some of them are different. Some of them I wrap the backs with brown paper, but they're all very professionally finished. And then what I do is I'll go into as you know, they're all digital. So I'll go into my iPad and I'll color the photographs, enhancing them. So this one, you can probably see there's blue, and I've just added color to it, green and things like that. So they're all unique, and many times I paint on top of them. So it enhances the color a little more, and that makes them original. This is my series of 3 palms, and these are 8 by 8.
These are great.
Again, thank you. They're all taken in the desert. And then this is a new app, sort of a style that I came up with, again, with the 3 palm series. And they all have colorful, sides to them.
Yeah.
So I'm all about Palm Springs.
Yeah, it has a very Palm Springsy feel with the colored framing. Yep.
Yeah, that's something new I just did, and I'm really excited about that. This is, what is it, Lucan's Trail? And this is a series that I've done, I call Painted Rocks. So I have this photograph. This is a 24 by 36. And then this is another one that's 24 by 36.
It's a cool concept.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's Palm Springs, right?
Very
And then
good.
these are my cactus series. So I paint these as well. So they have a little bit of fun color in them. And then some are not painted. So this one is just, kind of enhanced on the iPad. And that's pretty much it in terms of what I'm looking at, presenting at the fair. Let me just turn this camera. Oh, these are note cards. Let's see if I can get them so you can see them better. Put them up so black. Okay. So this is a note card, and it is sealed. There's nothing in, it's blank inside. But I'll take one apart and show you real quick. I wasn't prepared for this. Apologize. So let me turn this on.
Oh, you don't need to take it out. We can see
Yeah,
it.
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're really nice cards. They're
Yeah.
frameable.
Yeah.
So
Very nice.
and they're all
Beautiful.
unique, and they have my name on the back. But yeah, so they're all, and they've got really nice envelopes, and then they're bagged. So
Yeah. Very
so I
nice.
have lots of those, and I do have a series that I'm doing with my dog. This is my dog Yoda. And so I have all these memes, we have so many dog lovers, right? This one says, "Oh, she takes me to the nicest places."
Very cute. Those
That's
are great. Yeah. I like the
That's
top
nice.
line.
This is all
Really
beau-
good.
I think this is all beautiful. And I think you will do really well at Village Fest, Catherine.
Can I
Thank
ask you, for some reason, we have on our notes Catherine Campbell, but then the name of the company is Catherine Campbell. Is that right?
No.
I think it was a typo, probably.
Typo, sorry. No, I was just curious of the spelling. I was just gonna ask you about it.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So anybody have any questions? I'm gonna make a motion that I move that we accept Catherine Campbell Arts and Crafts to Village Fest.
Second.
A second.
Okay, it was moved by me and seconded by David Anderson and John Bolton, I think it was, right? Or was that Greg?
Greg.
Greg and John Bolton. Okay. All right. So all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. Welcome, Catherine. Nice work.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank
at
you for your
Village Fest.
patience and perseverance to wait to the end of the meeting. I'm sure it was painful, and I apologize.
No, actually, I didn't know about the meeting until the end of the last person.
Lucky you. Well then.
So I'm very sorry, because I would have been a lot more organized. My goodness.
Yeah, no worries.
But
You know what? Timing is everything, as they say. Welcome to the street, and we will see you there.
Thank you.
oh, thank you so much. I look
Thank you.
forward to it. Okay,
Um,
bye,
and-
everybody.
Bye. Bye-bye, thank you.
Okay.
Last but not least, Henrik, you get the Perseverance Award, I guess. Thank you. You've been on for a while. Henrik, Arts and Crafts Ecosystems in Sealed Glass Containers.
Hi,
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Henrik Eriksson Bland, married to an American. I'm Swedish. I'm going to tell you about my ecosystems. These are not like ordinary terrariums. These are sealed containers. You don't have to water them more than once or twice a year. I have an example here for this is my biggest one. Oh, my biggest one. If you can see that is I compose different mosses and trees and plants and stuff, and it will take care of itself. So everything that I put into an ecosystem is sterilized. So the soil is a mix of compost and substrate. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's actually a dried moss. And I put everything in a mixer and mix it. So it's blended to a fine powder. And that is then mixed with active charcoal. And I bake that in the oven for half an hour to sterilize it. And all pebbles, all sand, everything that I buy or pick up in the desert is sterilized as well, washed and sterilized. Most of the plants, I grow them myself here in the kitchen in my studio. So I have, as you can see, I have a lot everywhere. So most of the smaller plants are grown from seed, or the first ones actually I bought from Amazon and took cuttings from them. That's how I started everything here in America or in Los Angeles. I was doing this back in Sweden as well. And it was very popular because we like stuff that is green and we don't have to take care of it. So it's perfect for summer houses and hotels, or just if you don't want to take care of it. So it will take care of itself. So I have 4 like standard ones. The first one that I showed you, and I have Moon. This is another one. This is actually rocks and pebbles and everything from Palm Desert. And this is one that I'm working on right now. It's this is what I call a high. So
wow.
So they're like everything from turtles on strings to Fittonia and whatever is in season, and also what I can grow because it's dry and yeah, I mean it's California, but I'm trying to do my best. And even I try to collect and go scouting for jars, bottles. This was a great bottle of wine up in Los Olivos. It was now a really good terrarium. Also take care of itself. This is an antique jar. And none of these have been watered since I produced them like 9 months ago. So you don't have to do anything more basically than turn it around. And
I love the story about it, and I don't know if you know this, but VillageFest is very much a family event. A lot of young families come with their kids and everything. It's a very cool thing for the kids to see and for you to explain to them what it is, so they understand the whole idea of how it's a self-feeding thing, that it, you know, emits its own moisture and then reabsorbs it for growth.
Yeah,
Almost like a science experiment.
I send this with every ecosystem that I sell. It's just a small spray bottle with alkaline water, because you have to use pure water because everything is sterile.
Yes.
And also a polished cloth of better quality. So they all come with this. And it's fun when you said this about kids, because I started out, I put that on an application, like startup kits, small, medium, large, and everything else. But I had so many questions from just families that I wanted to give everything so they had the container as well, because I don't sell the containers. I actually started to make this one.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's a start kit with, so everything, all the components that I bake and sterilize and pick in the desert or whatever is in here. And I just packed 8 for a customer here. So so it
Will you
looks
be
like
marketing
this.
those as well at VillageFest?
Sorry?
Will you be also selling those at VillageFest?
I have to, yeah, if I can, I would love to, because
Just make sure it's on the
they're
application,
really,
and if it's not, just ask Faith to add it, because you may want to sell these, and I think it's a cool idea.
yeah, I mean, everything is here, soil, pebbles, and sand, and there's a story, so you can actually, I show everything, how you make it step by step. So basically how to start your first terrarium or ecosystem.
Very cool. I love that.
I
That's
think
a
so, too.
skill though, because I've tried to grow terrariums and I would rather buy one of yours that you put together because I know it won't die. Mine always die.
Oh, hell yeah.
They get buggy. They get buggy. You get bugs all of a sudden out of nowhere. Kind of the
You know,
model.
it's fun because on this one, I actually write that this is all water you need for basically 3 years ahead.
Wow.
So it's, you don't need anything basically, because, well, the biggest one here, I watered when I built it, but that's probably 9 months ago.
Henrik,
So
may I ask a question?
Yes.
If I remember in your application, there was one called Palm Springs. Is that right?
Yes, that is this Moon Palm Springs. And it's all stuff, they are all different regarding to what kind of plant. This is a Fittonia, a bigger version, and a fern, and also a creeping fig. So it depends on what's available at the moment, because you need to have good quality of that's why I want to grow it myself.
That's a great gift for out-of-towners that want to take a little bit of Palm Springs home with them.
Yeah, I love it.
I hope so. This is the smallest one I make. This is, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, wow.
This is baby tears and moss.
My God, that is so cool.
So this one is 6 months old. I never watered it. It stays this, but you have to seal it up properly, and it's a lot of work with them, but
those are great.
Those are great.
Thank you. I like them.
Clearly. Any questions, anyone?
I move that we accept this vendor into VillageFest with bells on.
I have another thing, but I don't know, because I heard a lot of the jewelry, because I actually make mini terrariums as well as earrings and pendants, because a lot of people can't afford to buy a big one. So then, oh, sorry.
Is that a real plant?
No, this is actually a preserved plant, because you can't, there's not enough with air in it, so it can't survive. And I don't like those air plants from China, because I despise them. They're terrible. Everyone have them, and because they're easy, they will survive. But so I prefer to have, well, fake, even if it's real, but it's and this is the key ring that I also put on the. Awesome. These are branches from the tar pit, La Brea, here next where I live.
So you'd be selling key rings and earrings?
I would love to, yes.
Is that on your application?
Not the earrings and the pendant. This one is on the application. Everything else except this crazy one.
I recommend that you add the kit and the earrings to your application.
Yeah.
In case you want to sell, otherwise you have to come back here.
Okay.
And I think you're going to wind up selling them. I think that's really unique. Actually, a lot of people are going to love those. And the kit is going to be like, you won't have enough of them. Trust me.
Well, we started to, they're only like $79 with everything included. Not the plants though, because it's because of season and you never know when it's going to sell.
Yeah, of course.
But moss and everything is included in it. So it basically just set up your first one.
Yeah, neat.
And it's a
All right,
work
so
label
there's a
as
motion
well.
on the floor. Anyone going to second it?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, Faith, have you added these other items to his application? Perfect. Okay, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Who was the second on it?
David.
David, thanks, David.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to VillageFest, Henrik, and we look
It's
forward
gonna
to
be
seeing
so
you.
much fun.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. So how does it work? Do you guys come back when we can start and things like
Get in
that?
touch with Faith. Just call the office and she'll work it out with you.
I will, or my husband.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening
Bye-bye.
now.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 All right, so moving right along. Hopefully we'll be out of here by 8. Unfinished
4
business.
minutes, Dan.
I know, unfinished business. Jasmine, I think that's, no, there is no unfinished business. There's new business though, right? And the new business is about expanding down to barista.
I had it under staff reports, but we can
Oh, that's fine.
put it under new business.
Okay.
So just it's twofold. As of next week, October 7th, we're going to change our hours to their seasonal hours. So Village Fest setup will start at 5. The event begins at 6, and we will run until 10 o'clock. And then we get the street cleaned up and ideally open by about 11:15.
Okay.
And then at that time, we're also going to extend the street to its original layout, which will take us all the way to Barristo Road.
Mhm.
Faith has been working on generating the appropriate locations with the parklets, because those parklets, most of them will stay in place until December. So the appropriate spaces that we can get them in there, it's gonna be a little trial run for a couple weeks to find out what works and what doesn't work for our vendors in terms of their setup process and tear down process. But I have faith that Faith will be able to work out those logistics.
Yeah, faith and faith.
With time. But we have vendors who come back, who always come back at the beginning of the season. So we have vendors returning for the season, and in order to maintain, a reasonable amount of space between vendors, which we're also trying to keep in line with for just COVID precautions. We do need the extra space that's gonna, the extra space of the additional 2 streets. And I'm sure everybody remembers council was very adamant about trying to get us back to our original layout as soon as possible. So we're just trying to stay in line with that guidance from them.
Jasmine, are we still, we're still requiring everybody to mask up during this, and how is enforcement of that going?
So it's still a struggle. We do have, our police department has been asked to do a little bit more enforcement with the mask. There's a little bit of kind of push and pull kind of internally in terms of what our PD will and won't do. I have some private security that is scheduled to start ideally next week, but I'm working through the contract process with the city's security company. So ideally they'll come out and they'll be able to hold masks in boxes and remind people that it is a mask requirement at Village Fest. I will tell you though, I've had a lot of discussion with the special events planning team as we start to approach some pretty large scale events that are going to take place in the city within the next few months, like Pride and our Veterans Day Parade and Festival Lights, and whether we have the ability to keep that guideline with all of our special events. And the common thought is we don't have the ability to keep thousands of people at a Pride festival in masks, and whether the requirement at Village Fest, how do we keep all these events in line, especially events that the city is either sponsoring and or producing, which we produce in-house Veterans Day and Festival of Lights. So, having one offset event that you consider required masks, and then you have all these other events where you don't require masks, has become a bit of a challenge that the special events team is trying to work out. So one of 2 things may happen. We may take it back to council and ask them to reconsider that guideline. And or we may ask council how they would like us to enforce some sort of mask mandate at other large scale events. But that conversation hopefully will happen in the next few weeks so that we can, so that we have ability to communicate that both to the Pride organization as well as how we're going to communicate that to the public for other large scale events that are going to take place in the next few months. So if you all have any feedback on that, I'm more than happy to take that back to the special events planning team.
I do, of course. First of all, there's a third option, which is that they could require the masks at the other public venues, because again, they're going to be very dense, even though they're outdoors. However, I would just ask that we remind them that the standard is in place, that the city council put it in place in response to a public health crisis, and it is a public health precaution. So if they're going to start getting political about it, that's going to be really stupid because it's not a political issue. So we can't say, well, it's not fair if you make this person wear a mask if this person. It's not about that. It's not about fair. It's really about the precaution. It's about keeping our population safe, and our numbers have been going up. So
and also, Dan, I'm sorry to interrupt, but so I think one could argue that it might not be a public health crisis. We're down 59%. And I understand that there's still a lot of cases, but at some point we're going to have to deal with the public not being masked.
Oh yeah, but we're not there yet. That's the thing.
Well, but when you say it's a public health crisis right now, I don't know that.
Don't consider that. It's considered that across the country. The president said it yesterday. So yeah, it's considered a public health crisis. I mean, I get what you're saying. It's going to be time to move on, but it's time to move on when it's because the numbers are going down, not just because everyone's sick of it. It shouldn't be.
Well, but I think the numbers are.
That's not a debate we have to have.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that later.
I have Joy has a question or comment.
Well, just regarding the masking, I just wanted to say that I think that it was anticipated that the crowds were going to be much denser at VillageFest. I mean, I'm not speaking on behalf of the council, but I think that was what was expected. And in fact, it's not crowded like the way that it can be around here, so it is very hard to enforce. I had to hire a security guard, and now the masking is getting much more difficult as visitors from other areas are coming. Locals are very fine with it, but I don't really know exactly what the answer is going to be to this for real here. We just want to make sure that everybody's kept safe. I know that, spreading apart the booths and I mean, the vendors aren't masked either. That might be an issue that needs to be brought up separately, really. Especially food vendors.
Wait, the vendors are not masked?
Oh.
Yes, they should be.
I would say, you know what? I'm going to get a little stronger here. Any vendor that refuses, they revoke their permit because we have a city mandate. I'm sorry, there should, and especially a food vendor. I mean, come on,
Yes. Yeah, it's okay. No VillageFest vendors are intended to be masked. So if there is someone who doesn't have a mask and you see them, well, I'll tell you, aside from setup's been kind of rough. It's just really hot and they're lifting a lot of things, and I'll tell you for myself.
It's gorgeous out this night. The weather's getting nicer now.
But aside from that, yes, they need to be masked during event hours and when we're open to the public, for sure. So if you all see something that shouldn't be there, do let us know, because yes, it is a requirement. We've provided all the notifications.
We send out a
as
reminder
vendors come in,
merchants.
we tell them that during orientation. So yes. And they have
send out
signage
a
that goes up to their
reminder
booth.
since
I'm sorry,
we're
go
hearing
ahead.
this now? Can we send out a reminder to all the merchants, since we're hearing that a lot of the merchants are not masked during service?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we will
Because,
send that out.
because again, it's helpful just to remind people.
Of course.
Okay.
Not a problem.
All right. And the other thing is that it's going to be less densified once we stretch all the way down to Barristo as well.
Right, which is one of the reasons we're trying to get that open back up.
It's also below 100 right now, this whole week and probably next. So
I think going forward, David, this is usually when the weather breaks.
Hopefully.
Usually end of September, first week of October.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to, yeah.
Okay, can we move on?
Yep. So, reports and requests, anything?
Can I ask a question, please? What, are
Absolutely,
you doing
sure.
anything for Halloween?
Yes, so we are working on our Halloween event, which will be scheduled for the 28th of October. And it's going to be located on Tockwitz Canyon between Indian and Palm.
Okay. So it's not going to be where the Maryland statue is now, where we used to have
No,
it?
because we're going to keep the farmer's market in that area.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, so, and I'll make sure to let the merchants know too, to have whatever that they're gonna be passing out with their clean hands to small children carrying plastic pumpkins.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
And
got it.
Joy, we'll get you some more information, the flyer and everything in the next week or so.
Terrific, thanks.
Absolutely, thank you.
Joy, can I just ask you, when we spoke before about extending down to Bristow, I wanted to ask, but I saw that you were on mute. I wasn't even sure if you were really on the call, but
I really was.
there you go, perfect. So I just wanted to ask you now, is there any guidance or request or just things to look out for from the downtown merchants that you'd like to say to us about extending down there? Like, you know, because all the parklets are out there, so some of the restaurants are right in the middle of it and everything.
I am not aware of any, I am not aware of one single business south of Tockwitz that is not thrilled to have it coming back.
That's great news. Thank you.
And I'm sure that, you know, they'll be able to work around where the parklets are. I mean, somebody sitting, eating a dinner might not want to have somebody selling, you know, soap at the booth next door or something, but I'm sure that they'll figure that all out, and everybody's super excited. Jasmine's been at a number of meetings over the past couple of weeks that the response has been really, really favorable.
Great.
Yeah, and that's what, you know, some of those logistics, if you know, if Joy gets a report or someone gets a report, sometimes they'll call Joy before they'll call the office or let us know if there's issues with kind of some of the vendor setup and it doesn't work for their restaurants or storefronts, and then we'll make those adjustments on our end. I mean, we've got some now that we're still trying to make some adjustments too. So, you know, we're gonna try and work through those logistics as they come in.
And I appreciate that. Just last week, a city staff member contacted me about a food truck and whether it would be too noisy in front of the store because of the generator. And I appreciated that though. So, you know, that's the kind of thing that a merchant, any business downtown really appreciates, you know, being tied into it like that, and that anybody cares what we think. So thank you.
Jasmine, can I ask you, so the vendors that were on the street before COVID, are they allowed to just come right back on now? I mean, do they have to, they don't have to come back? I mean, obviously they don't have to come back before the board, but are they just back on the street?
So vendors, we kept the same regulation of if you had been absent for more than a year. Now, obviously everybody had been absent for more than a year due to COVID, but from March of 2019, if you had a lapse of more than a year, then you have to come back before the board and reapply. But if you had been participating within that 1 year period, we allowed you to come back. Each vendor did need to submit a new application and a new booth set up so that we had all that information was up to date for their files. So we're still making that requirement for vendors that are coming back to us.
Okay.
Makes sense. Move on? We're good? Okay. Joy, anything else from you? Main Street comments?
No, already gave it. I think you guys did a super, really good job tonight. There were some touchy things and I appreciate you thinking of all the different perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. There's no subcommittees that are reporting at this time. Staff reports, cannabis at VillageFest.
Yeah, so we've had this one on here for a long time, but we have it. It's been a little bit. So I just wanted to make sure, I did hear back from the city attorney. Cannabis is not allowed to be advertised at VillageFest, and it has to do with the state guideline in terms of needing to have demographic attendance, and that at least 71.6% of our audience needs to be 21 years or older, and VillageFest does not have that type of data available. And since we are not allowed to approve items in which cannabis will be sold and or advertised at this event. So I know we are kind of trying to figure out where we lie on that position. So moving forward, unless anything changes, we are not allowed to approve anything that is sold and or advertised cannabis wise at the event.
It sounds like it was our original understanding as well, so it's perfect. Okay.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
what about Lighthouse that's already there?
That has to go.
I don't know what is
Lighthouse
that?
has a table and they are a dispensary. I saw them
Lighthouse
on the
is a
first night.
dispensary, or maybe the new Azul, whatever, some kind of Azul.
Faith, do you know what they advertise or sell?
Cannabis, it's a dispensary.
They're advertising the dispensary and giving out pamphlets about going there to buy.
Okay, so we may need to readdress that. Faith, if you would send me their application,
I
I'll
have to
forward
say
that.
something. Hold on. I brought this up when we first reopened VillageFest. And I said, they never came before the board. I never saw them there before. They never came before the board. Did they ever apply, and who approved this? And that was still an open question. I don't think they have an application.
Yes, they do.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they wouldn't be on the street if they had not been approved and gone through orientation, yes.
Because it looked like they had a folding table. Celia and I walked by and we said, it looks like these guys just came out of their store and walked down the street and set up on their own, like after setup.
Yeah, and I don't remember them. I don't remember them coming before VillageFest. We would.
Yeah.
I think that would have been.
It might have been before you guys were here, but they're a downtown merchant.
They weren't open then.
Downtown merchant.
They weren't open before I was on VillageFest.
Yeah.
Lighthouse only opened within the last year and a half.
Okay, well, that's fine. We can find the minutes.
Okay, whatever, but all right.
We'll do a little
yeah.
research on our
Nonetheless,
end.
they have to come off the street no matter what the reason is, right?
Yeah, so I want that to go through the city attorney's office so he could provide us the appropriate information and distribute to them. So we'll find their agenda, their application, and their minutes from their meeting and get that to the city attorney's office.
Perfect. All right. Before we adjourn, I would just like to say we've lost 2 committee members during this meeting. I'm not sure why. If someone needs to leave a meeting early, it'd be nice to announce it, but just going forward, don't think that's normal protocol, because we should not be leaving the meeting until it's adjourned, unless of course we have a personal reason. We just say, I'm sorry, I have to drop off or something, but
Who besides Julius left?
John
Julie
Bolton.
left, and yeah, John
Oh.
Bolton. And I did message Jasmine. The Business Retention Subcommittee meeting meets at the exact same time on the same day of the month.
Oh, God.
I did ask them to change it this evening, though, when we were talking about future meeting dates. So I hope they do. It's very hard to just have every single meeting in the city required to meet at 5:30 p.m. And there's only so many days.
Yeah.
Spooky.
All right,
But
so
yes,
with
thank
that,
you, Joy, for letting me know.
I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Thank you
All
all.
in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Not
Thank
on your
you
life.
all. Thank you all so much.
Good
Okay.
night. Evening.
Have a nice evening.
Good night.